Just saying, I'm sending you the email. The first email I sent may be wrong. He sent me the right one. So, yeah. So I just emailed.
I'm telling everybody in the old room to go to the new room.
Yeah, and I will post a link as soon as I get it right now. Well, I hope you get a lot of footage, gents. I hope it's some good stuff.
Oh, I'm already getting.
I hope so too.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
It's my only chance.
Wait. Oh, you actually. Okay, you gotta get off the YouTube channel. That's what people see on YouTube right now. Go put it in OBS. No, it's fine. It's fine. Go put it in OBS. Do you see YouTube?
Hold on. Yeah. This.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to bring up?
I will.
Oh, okay.
This.
All right.
Let's get a room that I'm in. Wow.
By the way, how was my sound quality? Was it good?
Oh my gosh.
Good. And we're live right now. Yeah, it was good. You're good. We're live right now.
Okay, let's see if I am getting it. And nope, I'm not getting it yet.
It's up right now. It's up. We're live.
I understand, but
you're not getting what? The video?
I have not gotten the announcement. Okay, so if you can see it, let's see why can't I?
Yeah, it's up. So I just go to YouTube and go Cowlazars, and it shows live, and that's how
usually I just go to announcements, but I can't see it in announcements. Streamed 2 hours ago, streamed 8 hours ago. I'm not seeing it yet. Hold on, videos.
It's there.
Do you go to videos?
Yes, and the one that says live. Yeah.
So I see an 8 hours, 2 hours, 50 seconds. I've tried to refresh. Hold on a minute. If you're seeing, I need to at least be able to see the chat before I. I'm not seeing it.
I'm in the chat right now.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's up.
How's that? That's not okay.
People. And I'm gonna call this the after party. Save.
I feel uncomfortable. Oh, there it is. I was gonna say I feel uncomfortable that it's live and I can't see it.
Just delayed. That's all. You're good. You're good.
No, this isn't it because it's not giving me a chat option. It says live. There's already. Oh wow, there's comments on a lot of these.
Go to videos.
Hold on. Let me go to. You guys are gonna need to bear with a second.
Somebody said he's jealous of my hair.
Okay, jealous, so I'm gonna go to videos.
It gets worse and worse.
So you see how it says live now?
Nope. Yeah. Mine says Forrest Fenn discussion marathon that streamed for 51 minutes ago. That's my newest.
Okay. So here, I will send you the link. I'm gonna email you the link.
That'd be great. Okay. Send it to AOL.
I got the notification. It says you just went live.
AOL, please. Okay. Sorry, I'll be there. Oh, and so many people are emailing me. I'm getting there, guys.
Okay, I just sent it to you. There you
go. Okay. There you are.
I sent you the link.
I'm getting there. Okay. It is not giving. It shows us, but it's not giving me the option on YouTube. I don't see the chat, and it's not giving me the chat. So
there's no live. The video, the button that says live chat normally.
No, not there. So we're just gonna have to wing it.
Well, I can see the chat. I mean.
Okay. That's nice. No offense. That's nice.
I wonder why you can't see it. That's weird.
No. So we're gonna just roll with it. So let me just be. I'm actually going to shut down. So, okay. So I cannot see the chat. I can't see anything going on. So I'm just going to have to wing it a little bit here. But you have said that you sent it to my Hint of Riches. So,
the links, yes. Yeah. Yes, the links, yeah.
Okay. So are we going to just do 1, then 2, then 3?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So here is the first one. Okay. So everybody, are you ready? We're going to show you 3 different links to 3. Do you see that, Michael?
Hang on, there's a delay. So no, not yet, but there's a delay. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Okay, so you guys are going to see this. Hopefully. Okay. So we're just going to have to stay nice and quiet. Yep, I did. And here we go. I'm going to play it. It's 3 minutes and 23 seconds long. So everybody be nice and quiet.
If I do find it, it'd be pretty funny, I think, too. Some homeless guy finds the treasure when, you know, all these, you know, smart people can't, I guess, you know.
It's like you are in a movie and you're one of the players, and it's incredible. And those people, that's what they're missing.
I stopped searching in October of last year, and the reason I stopped searching was because I realized that I had no idea where this treasure was.
People read that poem and say, he sat down and wrote that poem in 15 minutes. Well, it took me 15 years. But the poem is really not so much written as it is an architectural plant. It's been crafted.
Trying to understand the poem, trying to decode the poem, and trying to come up with a solution. I enjoy that part of it, but even more, I enjoy going out to places I've never been before.
I think going out into nature alone is rejuvenating. I think it helps us focus, and there's a certain amount of clarity with it.
I think it's like a tomb. I think it's in a rock. I think it's in a wall. And I think perhaps his view outward is beautiful, but the actual location itself is dull.
What state am I searching in? A state of confusion.
I think it's going to take multiple boots on the ground because it's never really, in reality, exactly what you think it's going to be.
You know, people will totally ignore you or whatever, 75% of the community, because it can only be in one of 4 states, you know, the treasure rests in. If you tell them what state you're searching in, well, if they think it's in Montana, they're obviously going to discredit anything you say.
The Rio de los Pinos is as perfect as it gets because it's a precise location I can start my treasure hunt from.
If there's a lead searcher, only Forrest Fenn knows that. So nobody can claim that status unless it's bestowed upon them by finding the treasure.
Forrest Fenn is someone who created an incredible adventure for so many people to take part in.
He actually
Okay, there's the first one. So let's
Good
roll
stuff.
right into the second one. Are we ready?
Never before seen, everybody.
Oh, well, it was before on some other channel.
No,
Here
it
we go.
Was never shown.
No, what,
Not
like
this one,
a
never.
half an hour ago, right?
No, no, this is one. This is the one you'll see.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
here we go. I am hitting play.
The world premiere of my
World
simple
premiere.
pizza.
As I have gone alone in there, and with my treasures bold, I can keep my secret where, and hint of riches new and old. So hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. If you've been brave and in the wood, I give you title to the gold. So why is it that
that I must go and leave my trove for all to seek. The answers I already know. I've done it tired and now I'm weak. I'll give you a major clue.
Okay, major clue.
Major clue.
You'd have to be crazy like him, wouldn't you?
But I love that place. Following Forrest Fenn's footsteps, you cannot go anywhere else. I will never go somewhere else.
Remember, this is a treasure hunt. There is no prize for second place.
I never thought to say there would be no chance of finding it.
How do you figure out the right one? There's no confirmers.
I will not partake in any drama, and I will just keep to myself, and I will not share.
Just take the chest and go in peace.
Gosh, I'm so pumped up right now. Okay, let me breathe.
Awesome. And I say we show the third one again, the one with Forrest.
Wait.
Yeah, the one with Forrest.
Okay, wait.
What did we learn from the second teaser?
Oh, we can hear it. We can hear the video. I think we can hear it through your sound somehow.
That's okay. Keep going. It's really low, so keep going.
Sorry.
What did we learn from the second teaser? That we are crazy treasure hunters, and that we all have a journey. We all have a story. And what did we learn, Jens? What did you learn?
I learned there's no prize for second place.
Yeah.
Boom!
Yours truly said.
Boom! But we're all in this together. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. That's why there's so much drama and infighting and craziness, because we're all in this together, but we're all competing against each other. And some focus on one more than the other. I focus more on the community than the competition. Some focus more on the competition, so they are maneuvering more than the other. Yes, Jen.
I want to say two things real quick. So Jamie, what's her name?
Jordan.
Jamie Jordan. Okay. I sent the video before I showed it to the others to Jamie and said, "Hey, is that okay with you?" And she said, "Hey, I look like a bitch in this video, but it's okay." So,
oh my God! And she's the sweetest person. That's what's so funny. She's like hardcore.
Because she said, and I will not share, you know what I mean? I took it a bit out of the context to make it more dramatic. So I want to say James is actually a nice person. And then the second thing is, I put Bill Gorman in. So Bill Gorman, after the first video, he did a live stream, and he was mad about me because I didn't consider him and or talk to him. And he said some things, and I sent him an email and said, "Hey, Bill, I didn't want it to make you mad or so. And I know that I interviewed people who didn't even have boots on the ground so far yet, Mike."
Yeah,
and,
right.
And Bill, we can talk. Tell me what's important to you, and then we'll see. And I have to say, I met a very nice side of Bill Gorman. I met him also at the Fanbury, but I had not the chance to talk to him. I also didn't know who he was. At that time, I didn't know too much about the people, the names, and so on. But Bill Gorman, he is a really cool guy. And I think when you talk to him in person, you get a different impression than you sometimes see him on videos when he has his mask off. But this is part of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's who he is. And I can tell you, I still try to get him also in for an interview. I know he's in the chat room, so Bill, I didn't forget you, but I got some issues, and once I'm back on track, we'll make it happen.
In my opinion, that's the very great thing about your documentary. It's not just based on, say, 3 or 4 searchers that are in all the documentaries. You put in all kinds of new people that I never know who Seattle Sullivan was before I saw him in your trailer. So I think it's good. You've got a bunch of different characters in this game, as you call it.
There's one guy probably most people also don't know it. The guy with the blonde, long hair and the German accent.
Tilo. He was in Bunction in the Junction. Yeah, we hung out with him for 3 days.
I took him down on pool, just to tell you. I beat him in pool, but I did.
But I just wanted to say, so if some people claim, Jens, you have just people who are popular already in the community. No, it's not true. We have also people who are not so known. And And
Yeah.
those who are known, I can promise you, you will see some other sides of them and views and insights, which will
Awesome.
be interesting.
All right.
So fun.
Too harsh here.
Okay.
All right, let's see
so
trailer 3
now,
again.
I mean, this
Again.
guy, you might
Now the
not know
real.
him. He's not known. His name's Forrest Fenn. He's in this one. So hold on. Here we go. Okay. And I am the technical guru. I'm just saying.
I ran into him by coincidence. So.
Oh, confidential. Here we go. Confidential. Oh, we've been there, Mike. Whew. Okay. How do I play this? Okay.
So this
here
is
we go.
now the original one. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
11 days from now, I'll be 89. But I told my wife the other day, I said, in less than 13 months, I'm going to be 90. She said, that's beginning to get serious. And I believe it. I won an award with Thrill of the Chase. Nobody knows that because I haven't talked about it. But I got a letter from this PhD that had one of the judges, and he said, that's such a childish book. I wrote him back and said, yeah, it's childish. A 13-year-old kid wrote it. And the first part of that book was written by a 13-year-old kid. Read it again. I knew where I was going to hide the treasure. And it was not difficult for me to write the poem that would lead somebody to the treasure because it was something that was familiar to me. But I wrote it and I tweaked it and I changed the words and I changed the texture of it a couple of times, and all of the nouns in the poem I looked up in a dictionary to be sure that I knew exactly what they mean, and the adjectives, and I learned a few things about the English language. But the poem turned out exactly the way I hoped that I envisioned it, and I hoped that it would. I'm very pleased with the poem. It does everything that I wanted it to do.
You're just good. Jens, you're just good. It's like dun dun dun, and I'm in the chase. I shouldn't be going. Okay, tell me the rest. But that's awesome. You did a really good job.
And those drone shots. I mean, you're doing that yourself. The drone.
Like of Tilo, where it's coming back, and
you might have had a helper, maybe.
Just a one-man show.
Oh, that's awesome. So, I mean, it just looks. I mean, I'm ready to watch that for 3 hours. I don't know how long it's going to be, but too long. It couldn't be too long. So.
I have to say the drone is kind of my signature. That is how I got into the film business also. So, and you maybe have seen drone shots of me, which you didn't know that were mine, like in a commercial for a car.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But yeah, so yeah. And I want to keep it as a signature of this documentary as well. I think especially to show the nature and the dimensions. It is very helpful because when you see something on Google Earth, you know, like Cynthia said in the first teaser, in Google Earth, it looks always different than when you're on site. And
it's so bigger. It's so much bigger.
And I was in Montana, and somebody showed me a trail, and that trail, it was Red Canyon. When you go that trail, you understand, hey, it's not so easy to go over a mountain or a hill. You know what I mean? Like it looks in Google Earth, you think like, hey, no problem. I check this area out or whatsoever. I'll go with the person there. It's unbelievable. And then every time I was asking myself, how is it possible that an 80-year-old carries 20 pounds in his back and making that trail? It's just, you know what I mean? You have to be on site to understand what's going on. So yeah. Don't want to talk too much, but
so K-Pro, do you want to stay on for a while? Do you want me to send the invite to anybody that wants to come on? The people
yeah, everybody can come on. Everybody who wants to come on. This is how we met Jens. We did this.
All right. Yes, that's right.
A couple months ago, and we said everybody come on in this little unknown. Oh, I'm just just gonna talk for a minute, and now you're like, and now I do have to say, Somebody asked, I don't know if somebody asked, but you said this to me that I thought was important. You are not an active searcher because you had said that you didn't, you might think that there's a conflict between actively searching and then also being the documentarian. Talk a little bit about that, because I thought that was an interesting angle that, or a discussion point or point that was important to you.
Yeah, also, what should I say? I mean, I don't think, well, let me say it this way. I found out about the Fenn story in 2012, and I found the story pretty interesting. But at that time, I had not much to do with filmmaking, okay? And I was also in my graduation, pretty close to graduate from a master's degree, and I had no time to spend efforts and, I don't know, thoughts into it. However, this year in February or March, I read an article in Germany's biggest news, online news platform. And I noticed, hey, it's still not found. That's not possible. And then I started my research, and I got quickly then to YouTube videos, and I found you guys and Tony and Shelly and so on. And it was grabbing me right away. And I was thinking, hey, Jens, you're looking for a topic for so long. And this is my first own film, just for your information. And I said, that's it. Give it a shot. And I got that question, Jens, are you a searcher? I would say I'm not a searcher because, first of all, I have no solve. Second, I don't even have a warm water hold, okay? And I never had a boots on the ground. And I would describe myself, I have to say that, of course, that if I was a searcher, it would conflict with my work of the documentary and the interest of my interviewees, you know what I mean? So in order to not get into trouble, that's one reason why I don't ask for details, because just in case if me or somebody else who's in the documentary will find a treasure, I don't want that people say, hey, Jens, they found it because you gave them some information or whatsoever, you know what I mean? Or they you exposed something that I didn't want it to have exposed. And that's why, to protect myself, I don't ask for details. I just ask, what's your warm waters hold? Like, tell me the vision, the general thing, but don't tell me the details. I don't need it. And so, yeah, I'm a researcher for now, and I'm fascinated by the whole thing because I think the story needs to be told. But who knows if in some years, or after the documentary is launched, the what's it called? The treasure is still not found. Probably I would look into it, yes. But I don't have, I think I would say I don't have an advantage over others just because I interviewed the people. That's something that you will see. I will share this information, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's great.
And we've got some drawings to do, don't we?
Yes, we do. Okay, so back to, this was good, but I did stop right in the middle. So these are the people that were on the, and actually I'm going to add Jens, because Jens, you could actually use this. And so what we've done is anybody who's a panelist, and Jens is a panelist, so I'm adding Jens right now. So we have, I think it's 10 or so, of all of the people that were on as panelists, not boots on the ground or bus panelists, but panelists. I'm going to draw one, and they are going to get one of the coins. And I'm sorry, I'm so disorganized now because somehow I became the technical guru of tonight, which is scary. And so you're going to get one of the numbered coins. It's in the 30s or the 20s. I don't remember.
Are we doing the panel, right? Everybody on the panel?
This is everybody who had a panel.
And Jens is in as well?
I just put Jens in. So it's one of those. So are you guys ready?
All right, good luck.
So it's just going to come straight to you. Okay, here we go. Right there.
Oh,
Sassy.
Yeah.
Sassy. Nice. Okay. So
that's a coin from one of the Grand Adventures. So congratulations.
That's the first one. Those are getting dumped now. And now all of the people, and there's a lot more. So here we go.
Speaking of Sassy.
Speaking of Sassy, does she know?
You won the coin, Sassy. You won the drawing. You won the drawing for the coin.
Yes.
For which one?
For the panelist, which was about 10
people. For the panelist. We're not sure what number. We'll figure it out. It's going to be like 29, something like that, though.
Yeah. Cool. Sassy one.
Good job.
Okay, so now what we're doing is it's going to take me, oh boy, because that was a fan and that made someone fly. Okay, let me get him back in here. Did I lose any others? Nope. I'm now going through this was the Chase-opoly one. So if you were in the Chase-opoly discussion
Right.
and you commented, there was, I don't know, maybe 100 or 150 of you. I don't know how many. I am just making it happen right now. This is the next one. Toby already gave his. The one for Jens is going to be next week. The one for what are the other ones, Mike?
Toby gave his away. I fell asleep sometime in there.
Who got it? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, who got Toby?
It was a name is not familiar to me. I'm not sure who that is. Yeah.
I think people are commenting that have never commented before. So
So we're gonna give this one away for the Chase-opoly, and then yeah, actually that's it though, right? I mean,
that is our
the coin number 9 is on eBay. Did you see that we released Chase-opoly, Jens? People are actually doing pre-orders right now.
I'm doing a pre-order too.
Yeah. People are ordering the game now. Huh?
Jens, I want to tell you, your camera work is just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Here's the camera.
I love
Here's
the
camera I'm
texture
using.
of it. The texture and the way that you move and the angles that you get, it's very artistically appealing. I can't wait to see it. Just for the cinematography alone is going to be spectacular.
Okay.
And the drone shot that you got of the guy sitting on that rock, I loved. Yeah, I loved the serenity and the solitariness of that shot. Just, the made you feel like going out and contemplating something. There was no dialogue, but it had such emotion to it, and I really enjoyed that. I can't wait to see it. That's
awesome.
This is one. I'm really against media, things like CBS and Good Morning America, getting their nose into any of this hunt at all, because all it does is stir up the crazies. But something like that, something artistic, and really the way that you dive into.
Tilo's in the room. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Tilo's in the room. Tilo, hey buddy.
Tilo, come on the Zoom. Email me at cowlazars@gmail.com. You can come on if you have video where you're at.
Tilo.
Tilo famous now.
Great shot.
Yeah, that was a great shot of Tilo, and then where it went back.
I think there's a moment in everybody's search when they, even if they're not sitting on a rock overlooking all of that, they feel like they are. They're seeing things with their eyes for the first time that they think Forrest may have been looking at. And I think that shot of Tilo really captured that contemplation that a lot of the searchers go through when they're out on the ground.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Let me tell you something quickly about Tilo and the location. So keep in mind, the locations that I'm shooting are all original locations. There's not a fake, So you see Hepken Lake. Hepken Lake is deep in Forest Heart. Keep this in mind, the whole area. And Tilo says something very interesting. So his strategy, and I think I can say it because he already mentioned it in the teaser, he tries to understand, he tries to get into Forrest's mind. And by doing the same what Forrest did, by the same way, not using any special stuff, equipment, or technology, he hopes or tries to find the way to the treasure to better understand Forrest. And he says that in order to, I think he says something like, in order to understand the poem or understand Forrest, you have to be Forrest. And I think the shot shows him pretty well because he sits there in nature, and he does it often, that he sits for hours just watching the nature, inspiring him. And I think I can say it. He told me that helped him a lot to make his solve. So, and I think it's a great shot that shows Tilo as the searcher that he is, Well,
it's funny because when you put that, there was a time that I was with my search partner sitting at a very similar type of location where it's just a gorgeous view, and he wouldn't stop. He just kept looking, and I went, I gotta just sit and absorb. And I sat for about 2 hours, and he kept going, and I was like, I don't think it's it anymore, but I've just got, this is my salt. This is my perfect end of my rainbow. Just give me a second. And he's like, we've been here 2 hours. We can go now. I'm like, okay, we'll get to the end of my rainbow one day. it's not.
So somebody in the chat just asked what the eBay auction's at. So for the boots on the ground or bust coin, it's at $135, and the Chase-opoly that is on eBay is at $305.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, and so let's do the drawing. So everybody who was in Chase-opoly, and we confirmed because I named everybody out.
We didn't pull it yet. Oh, yeah.
No,
Okay.
no.
I thought we did.
No, let's pull it.
And I'll just throw this out there, Sassy. I'll send you a Chase-opoly game instead of the coin if you want. It's up to you, though. Right?
I know you've been wanting it. Look at that.
It's up to you, though. Think about it. Because the Grand Adventure is going to be for a lower numbered coin.
Think about it. Think about it. Yeah.
You don't have to answer right now.
I had coin 34. And at the time, there were 2 other coins up that were like way lower than 34. And they were all getting like $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 for theirs, and I got like $200 for mine. So
right.
I think that if I got it and put it up on eBay, nobody'd buy it because they don't want me to win. So I'll take the game.
All right.
And Mike, check with me before you just kind of
I know, sorry.
that's Mike's down. Not that I'm against it. It's just there's unintended consequences of some things. I guarantee I'm going to get 5 emails tonight. You said absolutely not that you wouldn't until you have them in hand. This is Mike.
I gotcha.
Mike did that out of nowhere.
If it turns out that too many people
we
about it, since we're not demonetizing this one. If they're going to be dicks about it, then just give me the coin. I don't.
No, I don't relent to bullies, but I will say, just Mike. This is more for Mike. Seth.
Yeah, I
Mike,
just thought
check
of it.
with me.
It just comes out. It's crazy.
I know, but I don't want people to be upset and think,
Right.
They're upset. I sneezed today. They're upset. I sneezed.
I'm pretty straight up front about the fact that I can't afford that game. I can't. I'm on Social
You
Security.
can now because guess what? Guess what happened? It went like this, and you'll have to see it later. And I went straight to the camera, and it said Sassy, and so Sassy's in the house. So here we go. Okay, I'm ornery by the end of tonight. Maybe now we'll do the honest questions panel, Michael. Okay, you guys ready? Here we go. I'm going straight to camera.
Michael Harrington.
Michael Harrington.
I know that name. All right. Congrats, Mike.
Michael Harrington.
I gotta run and get my water real quick.
Okay. She's going to get her water. Michael Harrington. Okay. So we had the panelists. That was Sassy. Chase-opoly. That was Michael Harrington. Game and number 9 is up on eBay right now. Boots on the Ground or Bust. That is up on eBay as well. I think we have some. Oh, Jen is in the house. AGK gave up their 32. I don't remember who it went to. And then the Boots on the Ground documentary. Jens and I will coordinate 2 weeks from tonight, which will be the Monday show. We will put everybody's name in a hat again. I go old school. I put them in my little handwriting. That we'll do the same thing, and we'll pick one out of the hat. Guys, let me challenge you. I want at least 50 searchers to send him some video, and he's going to have to take a lot of time and go through some really good stuff. But at least 50 of us. I mean, I know there's at least a couple hundred in the chat. There's 4,000 of you that will watch this in the next couple of days. I will be disappointed if 50 of you do not send him something. Be a part of history. His video, his documentary is such high quality. It's going to do some amazing things. Do you want to be in an award-winning documentary? Bring it, guys. There we go.
I've got some for you, Jen. I got to talk to Kelly about it because it's really her video, but I've got some good video.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Capro, you put the bar pretty high right now. You put me under pressure.
You know what? Ooh, why don't we make a challenge, Mike? If you get 100 people to respond, we'll auction off another Chase-opoly. 100
to respond. 100 to respond 100. To Jens's Boots on the Ground video.
Yes. No. To give him Boots on the Ground footage. If 100 people,
that's what
100 different searchers give him the Boots on the Ground footage, we will auction off a Chase-opoly or a Chase coin. It's up to them. But
to one of those 100 people.
To one of those 100 people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll work.
And I want to say, don't feel intimidated if you think that your video that you've got looks cheapy or, such a home movie kind of, you don't really think it looks up to the quality of his camera work. he can fix it in post-production.
No, but here's what he told me.
Mhm.
Here's what he told me, which is amazing. He said, I want it to contrast because I want it to be, okay, here's
Yeah.
my really high level work.
Yeah.
And he wants to show the average redneck or the average searcher or the average whatever. I'm not a camera person.
Okay.
I was sitting there with he wants to show that there's a contrast because then it's authentic. And I thought, oh, that's great. So, okay.
Exactly.
Renegade is in the
More
house. How you
texture,
doing, Renegade?
that's great.
Well, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
very good.
Yeah.
And Jana, you're back. Okay.
And Jana, hey.
Yes. Okay. My hat isn't fitting right.
Are you from Minnesota, Jana?
What?
Are you from Minnesota?
Yes.
I see your sweatshirt. Are you getting pounded with the thunderstorms right now?
Well, we have been getting hail, but I just flew into Seattle, so I'm in Seattle right now.
Ooh, you need to go see Seattle Sullivan.
We're just starting to get some of the thunder. I'm in Indiana. So we're just starting to get some of the stuff that came across Minnesota and Chicago and hail. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is where we ask each other or the room, and I just asked the room, what are the hard-hitting questions? What hard-hitting questions do we have to have? I have one for Jana. I want to start. I have one for Jana. Jana took I want to say 5 years, but it was 5 weeks, I think, and went and had the lifetime opportunity and went and boots on the ground, which God, I'm jealous. Can you tell us what was your biggest takeaway, pit or high or low? What was it that you say, this is what Forrest talks about? You made memories like nobody's business. What would you say was your biggest takeaway from your boots on the ground experience?
Oh boy. We did spend a lot of time outside. I learned the first time around to not bring as much with me and pack later. And we saw, put it this way, I walked a couple miles out and saw some amazing things that I didn't think I would ever see again. And I sat and took it all in and made it back to the car, left there thinking that that was going to be the last time I'd ever see that area. And for some weird reason, I got the opportunity again because we found another way to get there. And then I got to see it a third time. And that kept happening on the trip. I kept thinking, this is the only time I'm ever going to see what I'm seeing. And I just got many opportunities to see. It's just,
that's awesome.
It was so beautiful. It was just being out there. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Now, have you always gone with someone, or is it have you always gone with your husband?
I treasure hunt here in Minnesota. So I am, if somebody isn't going out there with me, I will go out by myself. This last January, I was out at 3 in the morning, the only person in the park, 50 degrees below zero, wearing all my gear. And I was doing video of just me treasure hunting. And so I can, hold my own, get out there. Did some by myself on this last one out in Yellowstone area. But Brad was with me too. He just went as far as he could go. So, and I kept going.
Now, have you, okay, one last question, then I'm going to let everybody else. Have you put in your mind, if something happened, kind of life hardship, when you're out boots on the ground? I was just thinking I went through with one of my family members. If you hurt your leg, this is what you're going to do with your leg, and I'm going to put you on my back. I had thought if he had something where he's totally incapacitated, I would actually put him over the side. I don't know if that was too extreme, but you actually searching with someone that could be a reality. Do you go through that? Yeah.
Yeah, we usually try to plan ahead for as much as possible. I could never lift him out of a park. I mean, he's almost 3 bills. So like I said, we had walkie-talkies before and kept in contact as much as possible. I am around, aware of my surroundings going in. I use maps and
there's a YouTube video on how to build with 2 kind of big sticks and a belt, how to build like a cart to haul somebody out of that's incapacitated. And all it takes is 2 big, about yay round sticks, a broom size or bigger, and a belt, and you can strap it to them and pull them out.
Wow.
If they weigh a lot. And there's a video on YouTube about that. It's an old Indian trick, but yeah.
Yeah, we just know his limits, and he doesn't go as deep into the, deep as everywhere I'll go. I'll go hiking up hills and into the mountains or down into the rivers and everything, and he basically gets his beer and sits by the river and waits for me and talks to me on walkie-talkie.
But that's cool. He's with ya.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So here's a question from Lika Lee. Panel, do you think the HOB could have been a structure in the past but no longer physically exists and is still listed on a map or sign by name only?
Okay, can I start with that one?
Yes, Jana.
Okay. I don't think that was Homa Brown. I think that's there. I do think that there's something else in the poem. That is exactly what she's saying.
Oh, so maybe not Homa Brown, but something
One of the
exactly similar. Wow. And that's pretty exact for you to jump in that quick. Wow, we got some like-mindedness.
One of the 9 clues, Jana?
Yes.
Oh, okay, but not Homer Brown.
Correct.
I don't think it's a structure or a physical thing. In my solve, it's just something that is also, that's its nickname. It's known as Homer Brown.
I think anything's possible at this point.
Yeah.
I like Renegade's answer. Yes.
But would you agree that we're supposed to be able to find it on a map? If you think it's one of the first 2 clues, some people do and some people don't.
I think it was on a map.
I don't
So you
think
have to have
Homa
the right
Brown's
map.
one of the first 2 clues.
Well, some people think canyon is part of where warm waters halt. Remember?
Okay.
So where warm waters halt, if there's only one canyon, that's obvious. It's like WWH and canyon are part of the first clue together. Some people think that, some don't.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Marty Bird had asked to Jens, and Jens already answered in chat, but just so everybody knows, do you think Forrest wants this found in his lifetime? And Jens has said he doesn't remember the exact answer, but that's something that he might have captured. I will tell you that would be very interesting to the search community, whatever is said. So do any panelists have other questions of panelists as we come on, room? This is where you guys can ask some questions as well.
We've got Renegade, Terry from Texas, brand new people.
Brand new.
The Chase community.
Yeah. What was your favorite state to film in is what Zara asked you, Jens.
What was your favorite state?
My favorite state was
Nevada. Sorry.
Of course, at 110 degrees. No, it was Montana. Is pretty impressive. Montana is
sky country.
And yeah, Montana is.
And that's where the treasure is, so that kind of is good.
Did you get any footage of the Tetons, the Grand Tetons?
Yes.
Oh, good. That is one place that I think every United States citizen should visit one time in their life, is the Grand Tetons.
Sassy, let me ask you something. Do you know where the name Grand Tetons come from?
I believe it's French, isn't it?
Yeah, it's French. Tito told me the story.
I bet he did.
I don't know.
It has a female background, you know.
I was going to say, is it what I think it is?
Or a female foreground.
It's no kidding. No joke. That's why it's called, it means to...
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
I know
every time somebody said that to me, I would be not looking for a chest.
That's how Hooters got his name too. But
oh my God, what's wrong with you people?
It's
sorry.
Yeah, it's the after party.
The Tetons are so beautiful. They're just breathtaking.
Yes, they are. Okay, so Slednick would like to know, anyone that is willing to share, where is your search state? So I'm going to say Wyoming here.
I think I missed that question earlier because of the lag in my video. If that's still, let me know and I'll go off and just answer in the chat. But because of the search area from the Wolfie and Winann's story, I'm actually looking in northern central New Mexico and southern Colorado.
Okay.
Nice. Okay.
Renegade,
I'm
how
voting
about
for
you?
her for boots on the ground or bust.
Nice.
What did you say? I didn't hear.
He said he's going to vote for you on Boots on the Ground or Bust, but he's in
Oh.
it with you. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah. I saw you come on right after me. I was like, wait a minute.
So
Nice.
I think Montana. Montana or New Mexico. I'm torn between the two.
That's my search partner, you guys. That's my search partner
It's
right
good to
there.
keep an open mind on
Mike,
these things.
it's in New Mexico, and you know it. You just can't let go of that.
It could be. It could be. That's for sure.
Anytime
Jana,
I try to start myself over, I can't. My heart's in Wyoming. I can't pull away.
So Jana, we're Michael. Okay.
I'm torn between Wyoming and New Mexico.
Okay.
And
yet,
yeah.
now that you're doing the documentary and you've talked to these people and the footage, are you going to become an actual searcher and maybe make a trip on your own to actually look, or you're just interested in the documentary angle?
Yeah, first and foremost, I'm interested in the documentary. But if I was a searcher, is that your question? Where I would look?
Yeah, like right now, if you were to say, because you said you would a couple years out if you weren't actually doing this.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one state right now and just say, I have to commit to one, where would it be?
I can't pick one state.
Come on, pick your favorite child. Come on.
There's two big groups, and I mean, everybody knows it. There's the party that believes in New Mexico, and there's another party that believes further north. And I tell you, really, both is possible. I can tell you.
So you don't believe Colorado? Is that what I just heard?
Well, I have to look into the Forrest Fenn footage. I mean, he's a good poker player, I guess. It can be that he's tricking everybody, and it's really in Colorado. Who knows? But
could be.
Could be. So I wouldn't exclude it. Like Sean Dodson said. Yeah, ask me.
I remember seeing you in the chat rooms several months before Fenbury when you were first coming into the chat rooms, and you said, "Oh, I live in LA," and I said, "Oh, right on. I used to live in LA," and
you were Pepperdine.
Forth and then within like a week you got online and I mean got on one of the panels and we're talking and how has I think this is I'm under the assumption that this has come at you fairly quickly here in the last few months and just kind of grown into this huge thing. How do you feel about the way that it's changed your life? Because I suspect there's been a course change here.
It's primarily a project, okay? If I consider it from a work perspective, from a personal perspective, of course, there's a big interest. I'm very interested also to find out where he hits the treasure. If somebody finds it, I'm same curious as you. How was it hidden? Where and how does it look like? You know what I mean? How it changed my life. I mean, it changed my work life because it's a big project. It's the biggest project I have done so far by far. So it has an impact on my personal life. I mean, yeah, I'm watching more YouTube than before. And I read books. I usually never read books. I read the first two books, like The Thrill of the Chase, Not Too Far to Walk, and what's the third one again? Embarrassing.
Once Upon a While.
Once Upon a While. No, Once Upon a what?
A while.
While.
Once Upon a While, right? Yeah, Once Upon a While. I have almost read fully, but keep in mind, I'm not so into book reading. The last time I had to read that much was during my grad school, so it changed some of my habits. Yes.
Oh, I remember this.
And the worst thing is still to come. I have to review all the footage, Sassi. I tell you, it's hours. I will spend a week locked in a room just to review the whole footage. It's that much.
Have you ever done a full-length documentary before?
I have worked on documentaries before, but not that I had the whole responsibility in doing by my own. The last documentary I worked on was one about David Hasselhoff, which was in the German TV, because in Germany he's more popular than
he's popular.
Yeah. So and on other documentaries, I'm shooting for a TV documentary, Terra X. It's it's about nature and those things. But know that I'm doing my own film or documentary. That's my first project. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So this is my baby. Very important to me, you know.
It's a great first solo project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
could
awesome.
be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
that's what
so
I was
what's
saying earlier. I mean, when Forrest did this treasure, he just opened a floodgate for so many people to do so many
Opportunity.
things with this. It's just awesome.
well, and I think I said at the end, so it might have been a different reporter. I don't remember. I've done a bunch lately. They said, "What's the one thing that you really liked about the chase, or that you think is the most unique about the chase?" And I said, I remember being at the Jamie drawing, and I met several searchers that were homeless. I met several searchers that had small children. I met some that were empty nesters. I met some that were retired. I met some that were very, very, very rich, that $100,000 for a piece of art was nothing. I met Forrest Fenn, and then I met Toby and Cynthia, and like people that now I'm personal connections, some that I didn't. There was such a variety of life that I think exhibits every single person, and there was one common bond. It's like, I'm a treasure hunter. Like sit with that first, like, I'm a treasure hunter. Who you are, it hits to your soul like I am an adventurer is what I felt. Like I am someone that wants to live life is how I kind of put it in my mind. And that was my one takeaway from the Jamie Jordan drawing. And I think it's so unique as we sit on this panel. We come from so many different walks of life, but put that 100 times or 50 times, we all had such a unique way, and we all bring something to the chase. And it was just, I'll get all in this, I'm like getting all social here, but like that's where we're competitors, but we're all the same. We all have that human innate part of us that wants to we're wanting to live life, whatever that is. You're have so much money and you might be fine with whatever, but you're finding something else through this than someone else. And that's the part that I just go, that's what I want. That's what I want to sit with someone and hear their story on and I think that's what Forrest wants to do. He wants to hear all their stories, and I want to tell my story, and I want to have friendships, and I want to have my boyfriend, and I want to have my kids be a part. I want all of that. Like I want all of it. That's it.
I think sometimes so that's hard to admit.
Yeah.
I remember the first time that I read about myself on Wikipedia, and it said that I was a retired art teacher and treasure hunter. And I was like, I'm not a treasure hunter, but you know.
But you are.
Yeah, you are.
You found a treasure, so you
treasure
are.
finder.
Yeah, right.
For a while, you know. That was like, I don't want people thinking I'm a treasure hunter. I didn't appreciate it. It took me a while to
it took a while to embrace that.
Not just, you know, to go ahead and write that note to Toby and say, look, these people have no idea what they're in for once they actually find it.
Yeah.
And take that step and put myself out there and say, yeah, I'm a treasure hunter.
Yeah.
Christy, I know exactly where you're coming from on that with doing treasure hunts here for so long. It was exactly almost verbatim what you said. We would talk about people that were in the group that would hunt here that were lawyers and, you know, worked at McDonald's, and then to the extreme where there were people who were homeless in their car and their cars are just full of, you know, just their life. But then we also had the extreme where we met a man who had won the lottery, the Powerball lottery, 150 million, and he didn't want everybody to know that at one of the group meetings, or not meetings, but one of the gatherings, and he was there. And so yeah, it's the extremes, but everybody has a common, you know, theme is that we're all human, and for some reason we have this desire to find something.
Yeah, and what you're searching for is that, I mean, I'm the first to say I didn't tell my work. Another searcher contacted my work and said, and I got called in and said, so tell us about treasure hunting. And I went, I wasn't quite ready for this, but I'm going to tell you. And it is like other hobbies, but there is, I don't want to say a shame factor, but it sounds kind of quirky. It sounds kind of weird. So it's not.
You're not.
Yes, that's what. So I didn't have a choice. I was outed, so I didn't have that. But I was like, but part of me just says, this is me. I just told a colleague that had just become familiar, and he's like, so you're a poker playing treasure hunter. He's like, but you're so like at work, you like, I don't wear anything but black and blue suits and all that. He's like, you're so benign at work. He's like, he's like, I would have never thought this. I was like, yeah. So I'm like, yeah, treasure hunter. I mean, I just have had to come around. I didn't have a choice. So yeah,
it's
funny.
the introvert extrovert thing, because I'm known more as a librarian and kind of a goody two shoes, but then I've also got the other side of me that gets out there, and I'm also a poker player and a treasure hunter, and have embraced that.
There you go. There you go.
K-Pro called me an introvert. It's easy to talk into a camera from your, where you live. But I guess she changed that. But
well, when he was sitting at the poker table, and when he's not with me, he puts the little earbuds in and sits.
Yeah, I don't talk to anybody.
And then he's like, "Let me get to the final table with you." And he's like, "Hey," and we have.
Well, she talks to everybody. Everybody at that table knows who Forrest Fenn is, knows about the treasure hunt by the end of the tournament, which is good. That's not a bad thing. Yeah, that's good. You're like the social butterfly, if that's a personality.
And that's bringing you
trait.
out. Come on, come play, Mike.
All right, so we got a question for the chat.
Yep.
Let's go around the room. Did I miss it? Where's it at?
I don't know.
Okay, he said if we're looking for a 10 by 10 box, I'm paraphrasing because I can't find it. If we're looking for a 10 by 10 box, doesn't the starting point have to be precise or with coordinates? In other words, how are we supposed to find?
Or the ending
he said
point?
The starting point. In other words, in order to get to the end point, don't we have to know precisely where to start? It's not just like a general, I'm at a lake. Where do I go from here?
Toby, what do you have to say on this?
If you don't have, can you hear me okay? I had to connect to my mic.
You have a hum. I'm hearing a hum.
A little quiet and hum.
Let me see.
Who is that? Oh, Toby.
Toby's in the house.
Still humming?
Nope. That sounds good.
Better. That's good. That's good.
But turn your volume up just a little bit.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're exactly right.
Pulling you out. That's what happened.
Perfect.
There you go. There you go.
And I would say answer it both ways, the beginning and the end point. Do you think it has to take you with a precise location?
I think you absolutely have to have a precise location to start. I think if you're just guessing at it, that you're already off to a bad start. I think the beginning has to be precise, and I think the ending has to be at least close. And what I mean by that, I trust that when he says, if you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down your quest to cease. I'm assuming that there is something when I look quickly down there that indicates that I'm in the right location. But not that I've ever gotten that far. But I have said since the beginning of our search that if you're not starting at a geographically precise location, then you're probably not starting.
Can I play off of Toby there? Okay, quickly down. One of my first ideas, which I'm sure other people have had this as well, was years ago, and it brought me down the very first, the poem, and it brings you down the very first line, and each letter being a number, you actually have a 110 dot blah, 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 and it gives you a coordinate. The coordinate brought me to Rock Springs, Wyoming. That was where I started many years ago.
I looked at that one too. But there's so many things. If you let your mind go down the anagrams and the line up all the things and try the wheel.
There's a lot of wheels.
Yeah, there's a lot of places you could go with that, and I believe Forrest when he says that there's no ciphers, or he didn't say anything about anagrams, but the ciphers, he said there weren't any in there.
What do you think, Renegade?
After I went down that whole rabbit hole, mind you.
Precise starting location?
I think you do need a precise starting location. You have to take the clues and marry them to a map. Just like Forrest said. Oh, hey, come on, buddy. Come on.
And Terry, what do you think? Precise or more in general?
I mean, I talked about a little bit earlier. But I don't know if this is taboo here to talk about like other treasure hunts or armchair treasure hunts.
No.
But I just recently was reading about the Breakfast Tea and Bourbon author.
Yeah.
And that treasure has been found, but the
From
author
Minnesota.
released 4-line riddle 2 years ago that supposedly leads to a 4-inch by 4-inch location.
Correct.
But like I said, the riddle itself is 4 lines. So even, you know, a fraction of the poem that we have.
Right.
And he has actually commented on it since then and said that many people have emailed him with solves that work or supposedly like fit, but it's not the place that he selected.
Okay, so I was a part of that treasure hunt for a minute, and there's 2 reasons why I bowed out quickly. One, he said, when you bought the book, you would be given a video, and then that kind of is a teaser and gives you some hints and clues. Then we kept asking about it, and he said, well, I changed my mind because I think it'll give too much. Once you break trust with the treasure hunter, I was kind of out. But the second piece was, and oh, by the way, there are 3 solid solutions that you will find in the book, but you've got to figure which one of them, but they're all solid solutions. And I went, so if there's 3 solid solutions, it's hard enough to find one at the Forrest Fenn hunt. Between those 2, I was like, I mean, Pete seemed like a good guy. Well, the third one was when he came on and said, I need a business model to work. Please invite your friends. And I was like, wait, invite competitors? Like, that's for you to do, not for us to do. And Mike and I have our own issues with marketing and all that. But it was like, you want us to come on and market for you? No, that's your job. So between those 3, the biggest one was the trust one. You said there was going to be a video. And then you said, no, I've changed my mind. That was enough. Those 3, I was like, peace out. Like, it didn't do it for me.
A treasure's trove they had where they went around and
I
little
heard about that.
gems. And they said this one's worth 20,000 and this one's worth 10,000, and then the people went and took them and had them evaluated. Oh, this one's worth like $100. Yeah, it wasn't what it was promised either. So I understand that whole not being able.
Yeah, for sure. And I will say though, Christy Capro, I actually was not part of the original Breakfast Tea and Bourbon search. I only heard about it recently, so the only thing that I have seen, like I said, is that after the fact, the 4-line riddle and like it's not even a big, well, maybe some people will consider a big prize that he's giving away, like a case of Buffalo Trace.
Of bourbon.
Of the bourbon that I had earlier. It's a case of that.
Just the idea though that I was trying to illustrate was that he could supposedly lead searchers to a 4-inch by 4-inch location with just a very short riddle.
Well, okay, so that's my question for the panel. Not the starting location, but the final location. I want to throw out to the panel.
If we knew that, we'd have the treasure.
Well, so a lot of people go out with confidence and they think if they have a half a mile area or 100-foot area, I'm going to ask the question, if you had, do you believe your solve will take you to an exact spot? Before you go boots on the ground.
It has to. It better, or I'm going to be pissed.
Well, I'm sure it does, but at this point, it does.
Before you go boots on the ground, do you believe you should have an exact spot before you go boots on the ground?
No.
Negative.
No.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
No.
Okay, I'm just going to throw it out.
It is impossible, and once you go out there, you'll find out it's impossible.
No, and I have, and I think that's what the one thing we're all missing. I'm going to go out on a ledge here, and I'm going to say, I believe that's what you need to do, and that's the one thing we're all missing. We're missing something.
Ben has said that the person that finds it will have gone out with confidence. I don't think that's the same as being able to identify in a fixed sequence the clues, the physical locations that are represented by the clues in the poem.
Yeah.
I think he's also said you're not going to find it on spring break. You're not going to find it on a picnic, during a picnic. And the implication is that you have to do this effectively one or two clues at a time as you search this area that you may feel is confident in locating. My guess is, and I wanted to ask this because I know Mike interviewed the folks that found the breakfast tea and bourbon treasure, and I've interviewed Sassy on the David Blaine treasure. And one of the things that struck me about the David Blaine treasure is that everyone in the community knew that progress was being made towards the end result, right? And they were sharing that information. I didn't know enough, and I knew nothing about that treasure, by the way. The only treasure I've ever searched for is Fenn's treasure. Mike, in the case of the bourbon,
breakfast tea and bourbon,
was there the same thing? Did everybody know that clue 1 had been reconciled and then clue 2 had been reconciled, or was it much like the Fenn treasure where you had to take a big leap of faith?
People realized what park it was in. If I remember right, there was a nonsensical phrase in the book, and if you took the last letter or the last 2 letters, or maybe it would have been the beginning 2 letters of each word, it spelled Hot Springs. And I believe it spelled, and people realized it was in Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas. Coy and his family that ended up finding it, they went on a boots on the ground, I believe twice, and didn't find it. Well, when they went back home and researched, they then realized exactly where it was just by looking at videos that people had put of that park up on YouTube. So when they went back the 3rd time, they knew exactly where it was. They knew what they were looking
except for Mike was working or talking with one of the genetic blend, and she's like, I went out there, I searched everywhere, it's not there.
There were
and
probably
he was
100
like,
people that didn't find it. That were in the right area and didn't find it. Minotaur Moreno was one of them. He walked by it and didn't find it.
But it was in the book. Not in the
confirmers.
Right. In the book, there was some indication, whether it was encoded or not, giving you an idea of where to start in this state park.
Yes.
In other words, did somebody publish that if you take the last 2 letters, it's
That's right. They published it. They did publish
right,
it.
but here's the other thing. That could have been one of the 3 wrong, or out of the 3, that could have been one of the 2 wrong ones, right?
It was, he says there were 2 other treasure hunts that he hasn't released. But to answer your question, Toby, yes, people could have known right where it was. It's just people were taking a wrong turn in the park.
I think that's what we're missing in the Fenn treasure, and I think that's when he tells us that there are a couple of hints and a couple of aberrations around the edge. I really want to believe that whatever those hints and aberrations are, they give us some sense of a starting point, whether, it doesn't, I'm sure it's not a national park or a state park or whatever, but that if there are hints, if there are the 2 hints that he claims there are, or the 2 aberrations around the edge, that one or more of those is some sort of indication of where to begin this quest. Because I think without that, we're going to spend 9 more years doing what we've been doing thus far, which is, bouncing around the forest, trying to avoid grizzly bears.
I agree that we're missing something. Like K-Pro said, maybe there's this important possibility that we're all missing. I know there's something that we're missing.
I'm saying it. That's mine. I might be wrong, and there's nothing that Forrest has said that has said it. I'm going to tell you the one important possibility. I believe you should not go out without having an exact spot. And I don't think most, if any, could say an exact spot. I'm talking exact within a couple of feet. And when I went into Ojo, I tried to avoid the grizzly bears, but I hit the springs. I believe that's the thing we're all missing. I still want to go recon. I believe it's going to go with confidence, which means exact spot. And I think that I totally might be wrong, but everybody has to go out on a ledge and be crazy on one thing. There's my crazy. Sign me up for crazy.
May I do a couple of things first? Because when I came in, I just kind of jumped in. First of all, I don't know Renegade and Terry. So hello to you folks. It's a pleasure to meet you both. And I do know Jana and Sassy, and of course you two. And I wanted to say hi to Jens. And I saw Masuda walking behind you. So hello to Masuda as well.
Did you see the trailers that we showed, Toby?
Toby's okay. She says hi.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mike?
Did you see the 3 trailers for the documentary that Jens is putting together? We showed them at the beginning of this video. Did you see the trailers, and what did you think?
I didn't. I was actually working.
Oh, okay.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at them.
Because guess what? You're in one of them.
You're in one of them. Some other searchers are in one of them. And then Forrest Fenn interview snaps are in
Two
one
of
of
them
them.
have never been seen before, and there's
Well-
drone footage, and I know you have drones, so I was wondering your opinion.
Drone footage is spectacular, and you're going to get so jealous.
No, I'm sorry. Forrest Fenn quotes are in one of them.
Oh,
Drop
okay.
the mic. Drop the mic.
Well, I did see the first one. I did, as a matter of fact. Thanks.
Fenbury one, yeah.
Right, the Fenbury one, which we both Shelley and I were in very briefly, and which caused demonetization on that particular.
That's
video.
right.
That's what we're in right now.
Yeah,
It's
this
called-
video will be demonetized, but we thought it was important to show
It
the
was
trailer.
well, I'll make sure that I look at them after this evening.
Toby, the song is licensed. You should fight that. I'm just saying.
I did, and it was remonetized, so I did.
Oh, was it? You're going to have to show me what I got to do so I can remonetize mine, Toby.
You have to basically fight it with YouTube. It took 2 months to do it, but-
Toby, listen. I will make a teaser just for you. Okay, you get your own teaser for a Gypsy's Kiss because that
Very
was so much.
thoughtful of you. And of course, we'll play it as often as we can.
That's awesome.
And you know, you're still my favorite YouTuber.
Oh, whoa!
Say that to everybody. because
Nice.
honestly, you're my favorite documentary maker.
Oh my god!
Yes.
I do have to say, Toby is my favorite. So I mean, I love Mike to pieces, but Toby's like a dad. So I mean, he's the one that I go to for many things. And thank you for that 5-hour conversation last year. They're just good people, and that's what I mean. People in the chase that you stumble upon.
So 3D Bronze has posted the Forrest Fenn quote that I think leads a little credence to what Christy said. The person who finds a treasure will have studied the poem over and over and thought and analyzed and moved with confidence. Nothing about it will be accidental. So does that mean, in you guys' opinion, and girls, does that mean you could solve all 8 clues, but you still have to, of course you have to figure out the 9th, which is the blaze, but it won't be accidental. You've got to, is it predetermined maybe? You got to know what you're looking for before you go out there.
Find the blaze until you're there. I think you have to be boots on the
But
ground.
could you figure out what the blaze is? And then you have to go find it. But should you have an idea of what you're looking for before you go? And that would be the move with confidence part.
Right. I get a sense that that's what he's trying to say in that quote, that you may not know precisely where everything is, but at that point you've deciphered the clues and to know specifically what you're looking for. Right? That you know what he means when he says put in the logo for brown. You know what to look for, and now you just have to find it within a specific area after your starting point.
And so even though I respect Toby immensely, I feel the exact opposite. Probably for most people, this will be the one that I go out on my own ledge on. If you're not exact, stay home and play canasta or Chase-opoly. Actually, play Chase-opoly. Canasta's gone because Chase-opoly is our day.
And there's a difference between, knowing exactly and thinking you know exactly.
Well,
because
yeah.
the place that I'm looking at, when Kelly got there, we had decided that this, I talked about this before. I think it was on Jason's. I don't remember whose, but it was about what does being wise mean to you? And I said, well, in my case, I remember the old TV show Kung Fu when he always says, make wise decision, Grasshopper. Choose wisely, Grasshopper. He's always telling the poor kid to choose wisely. And in my area, there's like a big trail, but there's all these trails that go off of it. And then aside from this blossoming of trails, if you looked in the other part of the parking lot, there's a little cairn of rocks. And if you walk maybe 50 feet farther, there's another cairn. Now there's no trail there, but for a good 500 feet, every 50 feet, there's a stack of them. And it takes you to this one location and you're on top of everything and you need to look down. But the problem is there was a discolored rock in the form of a blaze. You got angel fire on flaming from the sunset, and you got the cairns of rocks. It was like, which one's the blaze? I think I need to define more clearly in my head what I think the blaze is and stick to it. Because there were too many things that you could say were the blaze, you know?
And Czar points out, if you've been wise and found the blaze, past tense, and maybe that doesn't mean out in the field. Maybe that means before you go. If you figured out what the blaze is, now you have to go find it. But maybe we could determine what it is either from the thrill of the chase and the poem together. I don't know. It's just a theory. But I wonder if that's what the deep thinking treasure searcher using logic could determine an important possibility. But if that's it, they're supposed to figure out what the blaze is before you go.
Well, he said you can't get down to the final clue. Google Earth doesn't get down that far. I still think, even though Google doesn't get down that far, I still think it's pretty precise. More than what a lot of us do, half mile, mile. I did for Ojo Caliente. I did for the Nez Perce solve. I did for other solve. I did for Lake Heron. That was a little bit more precise. But those, I will just stand corrected, but I strongly feel that's the thing that we're missing is we're going overconfident. Think of how many lead searchers we have in the room right now. I'm sorry, we're overconfident. If you don't have an exact solve, and he talked about general solve versus exact solve. If you don't have it, stay home, play Chase-opoly. That's the new quote.
More fun than canasta. That's what the song says.
Right.
The thing that confuses me is, he says there are hints in the book. Okay, well, there could be things, everything from the titles of the chapters to content of the text to those two bold typed cancer is a terrible word, and then I got a cancer, that none of the other sentences are bold typed. Or is it something like all the numbers that are used? I mean, why does he say that Olga's bathtub is 36 inches long?
Sounds like an odd one. Yeah.
It's not a standard measurement for a tub. So one of the things that then confuses me is when I play around with the numbers, like for latitude and longitude, and if you use hours, minutes, and seconds, there's numbers that you can grab out of the book that are my exact location on Google Earth. So, but there's other numbers in the book too besides those numbers, but 36 inches is the last two numbers of the location where I'm looking.
Well, let's go back to Jens's solve Jens's trailer for a second. When he said, when he had that PhD say to him, because PhDs need a crutch. When the PhD said to him, a child wrote this book, and his answer was, yeah, a 13-year-old. And that's where the hints are. Does that solidify that it has to be somewhere? Somebody asked in the chat. It has to be somewhere that he knew at 13. I know that New Mexico people and Colorado people are going to say no, and the northern people are going to say yes, but I ask it anyway.
I don't think it solidifies it.
Right.
It's a possibility, but
nothing like him sounding like a kid, a selfish kid or whatever, and the biddies. He's in his own little bubble. I shouldn't say selfish, but his own bubble. It's all about him. If you read it,
it's still all about him, and he's 80 years old.
And in Jens's trailer,
darn near 90.
He's 90.
Jens's trailer that we just watched, he said a 13-year-old wrote those first couple chapters. He was saying, I wrote it as a perspective of when I was 13. So to me, that's where the clues are. That's where the aberrations are. But I got to reread it and go through that.
I kind of don't think there's that big of a difference between 13-year-old Forrest and 90-year-old Forrest. I think there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I found that statement to just be like Forrest being really humble in the fact that he's like, what did you expect me to write? Like a dissertation? No, like I wrote it as a 13-year-old could read it, but also because, I'm like I said, still newish searcher, but I really believe that when he wrote The Thrill of the Chase, yes, he incorporated the treasure hunt, but he wanted it to tell his life story. And the first few stories, I don't think that we should be looking for hints pointing towards the treasure in every one of those stories. And yeah, so the beginning, I think he's just telling his childhood stories. There's maybe a few hints that I think might point to it, but for the most part, yeah, I think that was just Forrest being humble by saying a 13-year-old wrote that.
And if you've ever met Forrest,
Mm.
I don't think he's super humble. I think he knows how special he is. And if you hear him tell his stories, he's like, I don't think he's bragging, but I think he knows, like, he's had some pretty amazing things happen to him in his life, which include his Yellowstone experience. Like, that's not something that a rich person, like, he's not sitting in front of Jackie O, but he tells those stories as big and impactful as he tells the stories of the Jackie O's, which that's what I find the most amazing
He's
about
a
him.
little bit of a name dropper. For somebody, you know,
Yes, he is.
I lived in my ex was in the industry, and you know, I dated one of the guys in the Beach Boys band for years. I mean, I've been around it all my life, and you just don't go around dropping names like that. You know, it's not only just cool, it's, I don't know, just nobody cares, you know?
I think there's a reason why he's doing that.
Forrest just always going around Suzanne Summers this and, you know, Mickey
But
Rooney
can
this.
we all acknowledge that he has been consistent in that way throughout the book and throughout his, that's just, you know, kind of how he is. So maybe humble wasn't the right word, but just maybe simple and straightforward in the content of his first few stories.
No, and I get what you mean. It's like he's the simple Texan redneck, but he's also had such special experiences that are above what a simple redneck could have. He's both. He's both at the exact time that, I mean, I've heard both sets of stories from him that it's so interesting that one person encapsulates two different types of people so well. Even though, don't even think for a second though, the PhDs do not impress him. He likes to zing them, so he is not impressed with an educational piece only. And
However, he brings up genius all the time.
But genius is not for. I've had this debate with him, so I know.
It's not necessarily education, but
yeah, it doesn't have to do with education. It has to do with IQ.
I do have to say that's where I believe he is humble. When he like, think about Michael Hull, even though he is an educator and even though he is a PhD, I don't think that's why he thinks Michael Hull's a genius. I think he thinks Michael Hull's a genius for his humbleness and his respect for all the different ways that he has thinking that is at a way that Forrest does. I don't think it's because of the PhD doesn't impress him as much as Michael Hull.
Doesn't impress him, but what Forrest likes about Michael Hull is that Michael Hull is impressed by Forrest, who has no PhD. So therefore,
I don't think so. I didn't get that response. I have my PhD. I didn't get that response. He put me right in my place. I think Michael Hull and I had different responses from Forrest, and I think they were different for a reason that was outside of our educational fee.
Well, I think he commented on Michael's video because of what Michael articulated in that video, and that is when you go boots on the ground and you fail, it's okay. It's actually a good thing. It's part of the thrill of the chase. That's why I think Forrest said that Michael's a genius, because he figured out that piece.
No, but
there's not a walk of shame. If Michael wouldn't have put out that latest video, I don't think Forrest makes that comment.
No, he spent 3 days with him a month before that. A month before that video went out. I think Michael Hull impressed him at a different level at a different time and probably said the same sort of things. And Michael is, and I know Michael's in the chat, so it's a little odd. And so but I don't mean to talk about you, but I'm talking about PhDs in general. And Michael, I will tell you, the first person to figure out who exactly I was Michael Hull. He figured out some things that other people didn't see, and he actually warned me before anyone else. Like, just to let you know, if I could figure it out, probably other people can. And other people did, and they didn't use it in a positive way. Michael was just very respectful and positive about, I just wanted to let you know because I want to be very respectful to you, which was amazing to me. What a kind soul. That's the other piece. I think Forrest finds kind souls, and that's different.
Forrest is very perceptive at reading people.
Yeah.
I think he can get to the bottom of somebody's character probably fairly quickly.
Yeah. So I don't know. How did we get so deep in here tonight? It's late night.
I know.
Hey, if this has been anybody's solve at all, what do all those famous people have in common? They have one thing in common. They're all stars. Keep that in mind. Nobody ever talks about that. But if you have stars in your solve, or you have moon or the universe or whatever in your solve, they're all stars. And he can't shove that down, at us more than he already is.
So do you want to talk about the Orion's belt? You made the comment in the chat that you wanted to bring up something about Orion's belt, Jana, or you don't?
You read all those comments.
Yeah, I saw it because I know a lot of people have stars astronomy in their solve.
I love Orion's belt.
Yes, it's kind of strange that a lot of people are coming to the same, like, outer ideas, but when it gets into the actual deepness of it, they all have different final answers to those ideas. So, Orion's belt, Sirius. How many times can you say the word Sirius? I have my notes on it around here somewhere of all the things that he says that has to do with different constellations, Cancer.
I never thought of Cancer as the constellation. Like we were talking about Cancer in the book, Sassy. It never occurred to me to think of the constellation.
That's the clue that we needed. I just sold the poem.
Constellation or the zodiac sign or the disease.
Yeah, now you ask me, and I don't know where my notes went.
Now look at it. Okay, so here's just a crazy idea, but I'm not saying this is it. I'm just saying in theory, let's say you realize that Orion, the constellation Orion, did have something to do with the poem. Now, if you're in your search area and you're looking for the blaze and you see dots that represent the constellation Orion, wouldn't you have been wise and figured that out before you ever went boots on the ground? When he says if you've been wise, could that be it? That whatever it is that we're missing that solves the poem, the one idea that relates to the clue, that's the blaze that we're looking for.
So I think
that blaze isn't actually my answer for stars, but it is a part of the puzzle. And there's more stars than just the people and the ones that are out there. Amelia Earhart flying the Lockheed Vega in the Vega Star. It goes on and on and on. The Cowboys football team in Once Upon a While, and he's got he talks about the Cowboys, and that's a star. It just goes on and on. How many times does he say?
There's 4 or 5 constellations named in the book.
Yeah, there are. Yeah,
but he doesn't use them as necessarily a constellation, but
they all mean something else as a whole.
Yeah.
So in a more general way, Toby, whatever it is, begin it. If you figure out what the it is, that relates to the blaze you're looking for. And in that way, you could predetermine what the blaze is before you go. And then you would move with confidence. Like, I figured this out. I know what I'm looking for.
I'm not disagreeing with that theory. I'm not disagreeing with the theory that you had resolved the clues in the poem to your satisfaction. And I'm going to use me as an example, and you don't have to agree with me. In my opinion, the blaze is related to a solar event. So I know what I'm looking. That doesn't make it right, but I have a sense of what I'm looking for when I get to that point, right? And I've got to believe that at some point I know what I'm looking for when I'm looking for the home of Brown. There's several key locations, if you will.
Wait, so is your blaze always going to be, no matter what solve and what state, your blaze is always going to be related to a constellation?
Not a constellation.
A solar event.
A solar
I'm sorry, a solar event. Oh, yeah. No matter what? Ah, interesting. Okay.
Now, Toby, the solar event is excellent for blaze, but I think all the stars are a different clue altogether.
Well, and again,
I do have that in part of mine as well.
I'm only using that as an example of the ability, having resolved enough of the clues to go in with confidence. I have yet to get to the point. I kind of know what I want my blaze to be, because that's what it is. It's a desire. There is no evidence that the blaze is a solar event. It's simply a desire. I have a good sense of the intersection. I've always had a good sense of the intersection of Warm Waters and Canyon Down. I have yet to decipher any of the clues to the extent that I could leave the intersection of Warm Waters Halt and Canyon Down and go not far. I still don't have any idea what he means when he says not far but too far to walk. And I agree with Christy in the sense that you should have a good sense of what of having resolved each one of those clues, taken the metaphors, and understand what the physical, the hands-on physical representation of that is. Because I don't think you should go on until you do. But you're also going to discover that looking for them in a forest without trails is going to, it's not like you're going to be able to walk from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. We're very fortunate to have 1 and 2 together, in my opinion. But you're going to have to do some searching to find the meaning or the location represented by not far but too far to walk.
Okay. I'm gonna kind of hit on a couple of your points.
Go ahead.
One of the things that I do like, and I'll throw that out there for everybody because quite a few people are curious in some of my thoughts. We went out on the first hunt, and what'd you do?
I have no idea. Hold on.
Oh, what's up? You just moved your screen. Just put the zoom back on the OBS screen. That's all.
Put the zoom back in the OBS.
Put the lime in the coconut.
There's zoom.
I'm telling you, you're probably killing Copper Dan right now. He's like, you just stopped her at the beginning of her telling about her.
Okay, sorry.
So we went out for our boots on the ground in June, and we felt pretty good about pretty much a 5 mile by 2 mile area, and it was so good that after we got home, actually we didn't get home, we got partway back to Denver. We had a flight that we had to catch, and we were looking through our photos, and we were one of those people who actually were just blown away because we thought we actually had a picture of the chest in a spot that was hiding in one of our areas, and we couldn't just go back and look. And so it drove us crazy, and only a couple of people knew that we had a photo that was driving us absolutely nuts. So we went back out there. When we went back out there, I'll tell you that part of our blaze was white, and we were thinking that it was calcium carbonate. And it was basically on top of where we thought that this chest was, that you could, when they say you can't go over it with a metal detector, and there was a man with a metal detector out there, from where we were, you could only see that space from a certain angle. When he says, oh, you'll get 12 feet away and you should probably see it before you would catch it with a metal detector. But I don't think that it's actually going to be sitting under a tree or sitting out there in the open or anywhere. I do think it's in a ledge or somewhere tucked in. So we were really freaked out by that. So that was one point. They're not far, but too far to walk. Everybody says the same stuff over and over and over again. What's too far? What's, not too far? And I think people are really not taking that in any other context besides walking steps to something. I'm not going to divulge what I think that is. That's one of my most solid answers, and I haven't seen it. I've not seen it anywhere online. And I sent it off to Fenn, but of course he doesn't reply.
And that solve has to do with stars, Orion's belt, or no?
That one does not.
Oh, okay.
But that one, I don't know how to explain that one. Everybody says the same thing. It's just, but I'm not on board with that at all. That it's not technically walking so far, and I must be too far. I originally was thinking it was like women's directions. They tell men, hey, go to this grocery store and it's 3 blocks down, but if you hit the gas station, you're too far. And then you got to go backwards and back up and go another, go back. So I that one's still kind of in there, but I think that when somebody when somebody actually puts that online and I say that that was what I had to, you guys are just gonna be blown away on that one.
You know,
sorry, I can't tell on that one.
I want to add on the constellation one. I'll give you guys a real fun one that you can try this at home. If you guys, you can do it on Photoshop by making one kind of transparent. If you take a picture of the constellation Cancer, okay, and it's got specific stars that draw lines that are kind of triangular, but it's also got some stars around it. And you put that over that map that I have of Moreno Valley, it all lines up to all the points of the things that he's mentioned: Touch Me Not Mountain, the Green Mountain, the Red, all the Gypsy Camp, everything lines up to some of those points. All the little stars line up. And then the apex where it all comes together is, I stuck a pin in it, and this thing came up that said, oh, that number, that GPS has a name. And so I zoomed in to see what it was, and it was Hidden Treasure Mine.
That's crazy.
So I'm going to be the naysayer of the other side of this. If it takes studying the stars and the locations of the stars and the astrological signs, I try to be imaginative. I don't know if I would think, if Forrest came out and said that's what you have to do to be able to find this treasure, I'd be like, I'm out then. Like, that's not where I see him go. I think he's spiritual.
Yeah, you know what, Christy, I would argue that's because that flies in the face of his imagination is more important than knowledge. But then I would ask the counter question, and I was just having this conversation in the chat room with Tom Sawyer at the Moby Dickens bookstore. He tells the story in the preface about him traveling down the Madison River from someplace inside the park down to Baker's Hole. And by the end of the story, he says the river distance was about 10 miles. And now that distance, for me at this age, he didn't use the phrase at this age, but he said, but now for me, it's too far to walk. So based on your theory that we shouldn't be using your premise, I don't want to say theory, your premise that we shouldn't be using things like the positions of the stars, should we then take him literally? And when he says that too far to walk is 10 miles, we take it for granted that too far to walk is 10 miles.
No, but I think, okay, so I think it's a good question, but I will say for me, if you take the premise that you need to have imagination, I think imagination can come in many, many forms. If imagination is one of the things that you need to do is map this particular theory, the theory of mapping stars and astrological signs. Those are two that I'm not saying I don't believe in, but I don't believe that that is the way or the circumstance of how you break this. The one thing we're all, if you do, I don't think I could get there. It wouldn't be something, I believe the way to crack this, in my opinion, is going to be something that Forrest wants his legacy to be known for. If it is mapping stars, I would be hard pressed to be passionate about that in the same way. Jens says he's going to be back, just to let you know. He did message me. I would be hard pressed that is the crux of the way to solve this. There's something we're all missing. If it is, I think there's a reason for it. I think whatever it is, there's a reason for it. This doesn't happen to be something that I would say I'm going to spend a lot of time and try to crack. I've tried to crack, benchmark, hot spring, this and that and the other, getting out, etc. If that's the way, if that's the particular avenue, I would not be a treasure hunter to say this is the one for me.
Okay.
And I think there's a distinction between the two.
All I'll say with the whole star theory is that when he puts out his third book, and what's Forrest Fenn fishing for, and maybe that's supposed to be what we're fishing for, but the name of the title, Once Upon a While, And what is a while? What is the definition of a while? I just looked it up, and it's a period of time. And how do we measure time? But by stars. The sun is a star. So, you know, and to thrill the chase, he threw the one book on top of a Time magazine. It just seems to be like it kind of relates. I don't think we're hitting on the right way we're supposed to interpret it, but it seems like it fits in a weird
Is it astronomy? Is it astrology? And that's what David West is saying right now. For me, and this is just me, I don't know either would be the way to absolutely crack it. And if it is, I just know I'm not going to be the one. I'm still up for the ride socially. I'm up for seeing how this goes. I'll never get there. I right now, I do not believe that I would spend a ton of time going into astronomy or astrology significantly if that is the way to crack this.
Christy, you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I explain this without telling you?
Oh, just say it. No one's listening. Go ahead, just say it. It's between you and me.
Take what we just talked about, and there's something that all of that has in common, both astrology and astronomy.
Time, right?
Oh my God. All of the stars, all of everything that he said is totally wrapped up in one package, and it has one answer. Well, actually, it has two. Two places has two answers. Wrap that up, and you don't have to get into astronomy or astrology or what's the other one?
Astrology.
Palm reading and things like that. But they all have a really big thing in common, and it's out there.
And would you say it's simple once you figure out what that answer is?
I am trying to so hard pull myself, start brand new with a different solve, and no matter what page I freaking turn to in a book, I cannot. I can't pull myself away, and it's not looking at a map and going, oh, that's in the shape of a unicorn. No. Every time I see a post like that, I about die. No.
I'll also mention Forrest being a pilot. I mean, he's looked at a lot of stars. He's looked at the night sky. He's had a lot of time. So
he covered up Philadelphia with his thumb.
Right.
Yep.
That's interesting. That's all.
Sometimes I get bored of going through the poem and going through the book and looking for the same old shit. That's why I tried laying the star chart over the map. You know, as there's a lot of constellations mentioned in here. And of course, Cancer.
But that's all it is. That's all it is. It's just a mention of all those constellations because he wants you to think of one thing.
Wait. Can I ask a question? You keep referring to constellations. There are 80 as an amateur astronomer.
There's 88 of them, yeah.
88 constellations. And you said that some of those constellations are mentioned in the book?
Yeah.
Straight up by name or just an indirect reference?
Cancer's one.
Well, here's the thing I want to say, though, to Sherry's point. I do not want to say that I am not saying it's wrong because I can't say that. I'm saying I'll never be the one, and I am purely then going to be an avenue for discussion on the social side. If he came out tomorrow and said, study the astrological signs or astronomy or astrology, I'm going to fund Sherry to go on her next Boots on the or with her group because that's not where my mind.
I'm just saying the only reason why I'm even bringing it up is because I get bored of doing the stuff that I know I'm supposed to be doing, and it's just not hitting my brain. So I go off on some tangent and say, oh, let's play with stars. Oh, let's play with the bold letters. Oh, let's play with all the people's nicknames or something. You know, I'll go off on something that's, I mean, there's the whole
like
color
way
wheel.
out there. Yeah. Well, and for me, it's so, and here's the thing for me, and I'd like everybody to answer this. For me, it's Mike, let's do a marathon. Mike, let's do a board game. Mike, let's do World Series of Fun.
I'm keeping you up.
I did the coin.
Yeah. So what is it for each of you? What is the one that you think might be way out there, and mine's the social aspect that I might learn some thought process from somebody. But Renegade, Terry, Jana, Toby, Jens, what is that for you? Because we know Sherry's, which is now that side of things, just to try something different. What is your try something different?
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm delayed. I'm hoping not.
No, you're good.
Anyone.
You're good.
I actually, specifically, like I said, being kind of still new to this, kind of took inventory as they came in, the topics that were really getting discussed a lot, obviously the warm water salt discussion, and then anything that I felt like I wanted to know more about, but I haven't heard or seen a lot of people discussing, that's where I get really, really like down the rabbit holes, or just like wanting to discuss. And you don't have to touch on it right now. Obviously, I'll give everyone a chance to answer the question, but I actually am really curious. And if we get to it, like I said, during this after party, cool. If not, we can talk about it later. I'm actually really curious on what everyone thinks about Forrest's rule of only doing something for 15 years and if that will apply to this treasure hunt or not. So that's my current, like, the thing that I've been kind of looking into. That might not be relevant, but anyways.
What do you
so
mean?
relevant. So relevant.
That's especially since we're approaching year 10.
Depending on where you put the where things started, you might be on year 14 or 15. But okay, so let's
I can't think of one
gosh,
instance
Terry,
where
you're
he's done
bringing up
anything.
great questions.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get like off topic.
In a really great
15
way.
years. Name something that he's done and stopped after 15 years.
I'm sorry, what was that, Toby?
I know he said it. There are things that Fenn has said that really aren't an accurate representation of his life. He's, best to my knowledge, there is nothing that Fenn, let me see, as close to
how long did he own the art gallery for?
The gallery was
17 years.
from 1972 to 1988.
Well, they say every 10 years that you should change a job and go a different direction.
For 20 years. From 1988 to when he hit the poem was, I'm sorry, when he hit the treasure was 21 years. So there, I know he's said that. I don't like doing anything for more than 15 years. But we went back and did the timeline, and we couldn't find literally any instance of anything that he's done and stopped, done for 15 years, and then stopped.
So I will just bring up what TV show was Peggy watching?
Dancing with
Thrill the
Stars.
Chase, Dancing with the Stars. It's just
with
weird
the
how
Stars.
these little things are there.
Oh, if you haven't seen them, you will start seeing them now.
Right.
I can go into, I got a list going right here. Scorpion, Sagittarius with the spider, and Draco the dragon, and the red spider the nebula. Yeah, located the Milky Way. How many times did he talk about what? Candy bars, Babe Ruth, and some other candy bar. But what's the one that he's not talking about? The Milky Way. Then he has the milking with the cows. So you're going to start seeing stars everywhere.
That's probably what my biggest problem is I'm of the camp that I try to take the poem and I try to pick a spot and I try to marry that spot to the poem to make it all match. And then if it doesn't match up, I throw another dart, pick another spot. I just kind of roll through this. I'm not creative. There's a lot of people who are a lot smarter than me in this chase. And, you know, I can't figure this stuff out like that, like the Cancer and the Orion and the Milky Way. And, you know,
yeah, but Renegade, let's think about smarter. When you say smarter, I don't think he means book smart, because believe I've had this debate with him and he's put me right in my place of like, that's not what he cares about. It's going to be somebody that's street smart, that sees something differently, that it's just, I love the idea of sitting with somebody and talking. Like, the people that I talk to on this chase are not the people that their IQ might be the highest, but they're not maybe the most formally educated in our society. And that is the equalizer. And I love, that's the thing that I love more about this chase than anything. And that's where Forrest Fenn puts me right in my spot. I didn't go in. I went in, tried to be humble, but he knew my credentials and he told me right where in my spot he thought of things. And I was just spunky enough to push back a little. But he's right. The people that haven't walked the walk and just try to, well, anyway, I won't go on this.
Renegade, you know, you don't, like she's saying, you don't have to be really smart, but the basics, like if you went to school, you probably learned about at least some of these stars. And a lot of it can be found on Google or, you know, when you read it, it should just jump out at you if you see, the nebula and when he says Sirius every time. Sirius literally lines up with Orion's belt, and then you've got, what did Sirius? Yeah, the dog star, and it aligns. You have Bethlehem when the kings followed the star, and everybody hates to get into the biblical side of things, but it was the brightest star, and I can't tell you what that means in myself, but
when he told K-Pro, did you dip your toe in it? The Little Dipper.
There you go.
I'm deleting this video as soon as we're done. Nobody needs to know any of this stuff.
That's why I already asked Christy. I said, "Is this gonna stay online?"
She did ask me that.
Or the North Star with the Big Dipper, whatever.
Right.
But the biggest thing is,
you do know about constellations, Renegade.
You gotta go, Toby. You gotta go.
Yeah.
All right. It is getting late, everybody.
Oh, love you, Toby. Bye.
2:30
tomorrow, and I still have to work on it. I do want to plug our show Wednesday. Make sure you Wednesday comment on last Wednesday's show to win either a can of bear spray or a Yellowstone coin. All right. So
awesome.
Yes, sir.
The invitation earlier tonight. We had a great time. Thanks for the call back. Shelley, of course, she does her beauty sleep time at 10:30. So, but I was working.
She looks fabulous.
Toby.
Fabulous.
Toby, it was an honor to talk to you.
It was fun meeting all of you guys. And
thanks, Toby.
Toby, before you leave.
Yeah.
Just before you leave, because I wanted to ask the chat room here too. What would be your question to Fenn if you had one question to him?
I'd ask him where the treasure is.
Excluding the location of the treasure, but what would be your question? If one shot.
What am I missing?
The general, he will not see. He will give another question.
An exact search location before you go boots on the ground.
Yeah. What am I? Just tell me what I'm missing. Something. I can't figure you out, Fenn. What am I missing? So.
What am I missing is a good one.
I like it. Or what are most searchers missing? Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you could ask. What are we missing?
What's
we've
the
been
word
at this.
that's key.
Right.
Yeah, what is the word that's key? If we knew what that was, we'd rip it apart and this thing would be done in 30 days. Yeah.
Oh, no, it would not. We would go round and around. Everybody would pick a different word, and we'd all debate it for like the next 10 more years.
Shelley and
when was the last time Fenn actually said how long it's been since someone was the closest to it? Or was that recent, or was that 10 years ago?
No,
I don't even know. Everybody's talking about it, but I don't even know. How long?
He says it like every year. He says, "Oh yeah, somebody's been."
No, he hasn't.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So in 2012, he said that somebody had been within 200 feet of the treasure. He said the person didn't know it, and that the person stopped searching after that one event. It's the only thing that he said that gives you an indication of where it is.
But to add to that, he did say, I think it was 2013 and 15, 2 clues and 4 clues. So he didn't say distance, but he said number of clues. For 2016, 17, 18, he has not updated that, even though we're begging, we're all asking. Sean Dotz did, I did. Okay. I think every tuber did. I'm sure Jenny did. Everybody has. There's some reason that he has not put that update. I will say, there might have been some requests for direct words, and maybe that would have been a question for tonight, because we know how popular tonight would have been. For some reason, he's not wanting to put that update out there. So I think in my opinion, it's been 3 years since he has not put that information out.
Well, thank you. It's been talked about so much in the last, just few months, and I'm like, is something new? Because you can't catch everything that's out there. There's so much.
And that's the big thing is when I went back into Cynthia's book, and I realized how many things in the last year us tubers thought we got as groundbreaking. No, we didn't. Mm-hmm. 3-4 years ago, everybody got it. Like the word that is key. I remember a tuber saying, "Oh, that's the biggest thing. That's better than K-Pro ever got." And it was like, okay. And dip your toe in it, like secret recording. Oh my God, it's huge. No, that was in Cynthia's book too. Like, it's amazing to me how much is already out there that and the vets, stumble over ourselves. They're letting us say, "Oh, that is groundbreaking. You guys go with that. Let's us go and try to solve the poem." So that's my honoriness at the end of the night.
I do want to point out before I leave that Fenn has never given me any words, clues, hints, or anything for that matter. Okay, I do want to put that out. And that's
Well,
probably
wait a minute. That's kind of not true.
What?
When I remember for the Jamie drawing, because I knew maybe there wasn't a best friendedness between you guys, I said, "Would you like to tape it?" And I think you got an exact. I said, "Would you like me to reach out to Toby?" And Forrest was like, no. And I think you got a direct email that said, "Toby, I would like you to do a great quality job like you always do." I don't know what he said exactly, but all I knew was he sent an email that said Toby and Shelly will be doing, or AGK will be covering because there was other tubers that wanted to, and there was no question who was going to be covering that for the quality that they bring. So you might not get it on the poem, but you get it on your quality work.
Aren't you the one that told me that when he was informed that I was leaving the search, his response was "good riddance"?
Oh. I don't think I said exact, but
okay.
It wasn't the.
I gotta go. I love you guys. We'll look forward to seeing you later in the week.
Thanks, Toby. Thanks for coming on.
That's funny.
Dave, what do you think? Stars, what do you think?
I gotta run real quick.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, anybody who wants to drop off, come back on, whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, and K-Pro, whenever you want to end it, I know it's late. It's almost 3 a.m. your time. So whenever you want to end it, we end it, okay?
Oh. I just have to use the girls' room.
Okay. What do you think, Dave?
Just don't bring any video. David.
Can you hear me?
Hi.
Yeah, we can hear you.
What do I think about what?
Everything.
This whole stars theory that somehow the Crack the Poem's got something in some way, some form to do with stars.
No, poppycock.
Poppycock. There you go.
Isn't that a constellation in Latin? No.
No, I don't think that's true. But I wanted to say, and I was texting it, or I was commenting that Christy's absolutely right.
I love it.
Yeah, I know you would.
Which part?
If you don't know exactly where it's at, then you should not leave your house or spend money.
So you think you can predetermine basically where it is, and then you go with confidence?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I don't think it's on a Google map.
Do you think you should know what the blaze is before you leave, so you know what it is you're looking for?
Yeah, the blaze is just one tiny little part. It's like, it's really, it's nothing more than any other part of it. So it's people concentrate on it, but it's really not that in my mind.
Okay.
I'm gonna give a little snippet. I had this great solve, and I remember emailing Forrest and saying, "Oh, I knew the blaze," and he was like, "Why are you focusing on the blaze? What's your WWWH? Are you out of your mind?" And he didn't say it exactly like that. I'm just paraphrasing, but I just thought to myself, okay, like he didn't even care about he didn't even want to focus. He didn't care of me telling them about the blaze. He was like, no, don't even go there. Like if you don't have WWWH, you don't have nothing. And so Dave, do you have a search partner?
No.
Oh.
And my wife won't even talk to me about it. She's sick of it.
Get Chase-opoly. You'll win her over.
But I've got it down to. I'm trying to figure out whether I want to go again, but
next year or this year?
I haven't changed my area. Just pinpointed.
You want to say what state? If I remember right, you do not say what state. Is that right?
It's one of 4 states.
Yeah. Okay.
One of 4 states?
I'll say this real quick, as far as the whole star idea that Jan has got me obsessed with for the last hour. You know the try the wheel message, right? You shift the lines. It says try the wheel.
Yes.
You guys have heard of a star wheel, right? A star wheel?
Yep.
You know what a star wheel is? I mean, that totally would fit, possibly. So it's interesting.
There's a big picture to all this. It all, like I said, once you find it all, put it all into a bow. You're gonna have palm reading, astrology, astronomy. It's all gonna mean the same thing. There's allegories.
And that leads you to a location, like a starting point, Jana.
They're all in the same. Okay, people were talking about this in one of the threads, and I can't remember who it was. Going back to the stars, Walmart and the well, they weren't talking about this. They were talking about taking a star and putting each clue on the dots and then the final in the middle kind of thing, kind of like the triangle, kind of like that. But he brings up Walmart in at least three different discussions, and Walmart has that asterisk at the end, and he talks about an asterisk, or Walmart has a star, whichever you'd prefer. And it's the same thing. You have to cross it like an asterisk. It's exactly, you have points.
Oh, it would form a star.
Or you can just take it as a star. Yeah, it would form a star.
Okay, so I'm going to go a little crazy here of why I'm in a new search location. He's done the same thing with parking lots.
Yes. Yep. Oh, I got a list. I mean, actually, I'm not the only one.
If you map out the parking lots, have you mapped out why the Arizona plus the Denver plus that's my new rabbit hole.
I don't know.
And
I
there
don't
is
have
a
an answer
pattern.
to both.
There's a
Plus,
pattern.
Well, wait, there's only two. You should say plus a third?
No, there's not.
Is there another
Walmart,
one?
he talks about the Walmart parking lot. He's talked about if you take all the scrapbooks and other locations and you map them through based on a longitudinal survey or map of when he said them, and then you do them.
Oh, really? Oh, we've never talked about that before. Okay.
Oh, because you're stuck in New Mexico, baby. Like, come on. Oh, but yes, no, this is all just coming out in the last little bit. Dave, what did you just say?
I said it's not in New Mexico.
Nah.
You know what? I can't rule it out because I do think I put that before Colorado, but then I throw in Colorado because he doesn't talk about it. So that makes it not. I think all of them are still in.
That's exactly what I think it's Colorado, because he doesn't talk about it in the thrill of the chase. And it's like,
he doesn't talk about New Mexico much either.
No, he does.
He does in the scrapbooks a lot.
The gallery.
He talks about New Mexico and Wyoming a lot.
Anything about his kids?
Solve the poem.
Okay.
That's true.
That's the question. There are people who are just for the poem. There are people who are poem in one book. There are people who are poem in all three books. There's people who are poem, the whole thing encompassed with the scrapbooks and the mail. Where is it all, or is it just the poem in the book? Because that's what he said originally. Has that ever? I mean, he goes back to that.
He originally said that it was in the mountains right up here north of Santa Fe too, not the Rocky Mountains.
But he didn't say just up here.
Well, he was like.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So tonight, Mike and I were going to be filler if we didn't have enough content, which we've never been able to get content in. And one of them was going to be, where do you look for things? Scrapbooks, all the different weekly words, because he gave Jenny weekly words for a year up front, etc. And I don't know what that answer is. That's what we were going to discuss. I think we need to do a show on it because I think the poem purist to everything, there's a lot of stuff in between that we really need to sift through, because I think there's more method to the madness than there is randomness. That's what I've learned, I think, from meeting Forrest, where they say you need to meet the man. I'm starting
I'd like to be on that. I'd like to be on that if possible.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's a deep subject.
What for me, I think you need the poem in the first book, period. But the other things play into my confirmation bias. For example, my location has this big rock with a kind of overhang thing with a cave kind of underneath it, that if you compared the picture of that with the picture, I think it's in Too Far to Walk, of him jumping off the cliff thing, down to the trees and where the trees are and where the rocks are, it's the same illustration. So that plays into, and then was it 205, Scrapbook 205, is it about an artist that's famous for painting these rock ledges? So other people may have got something else out of Scrapbook 205. It starts, those external things, those connected but not principal things, I mean, they start playing into my confirmation bias and then just mess up my head.
Well, let me ask you a question. I would like everybody to answer this question. And I'm literally on 2% in the chat room, so I'm sorry. My computer will still stay on for this, but I won't be able to see the
You
chat.
know what? It's okay because what we have to say doesn't have to be to everybody. If they're not here, they're not here.
There you
That's
go.
right.
So here's what I want to ask. If every searcher came up, I believe every searcher has their aha, nobody knows but me piece of information. If every one of those came out and said, honestly, not that this could happen, but I want you to walk through this from an imagination standpoint. Here is my one aha moment. Maybe it's my 1 mile, maybe it's something that somebody else gives. Here's my one thing. If everybody put that one thing in the kitty, do you believe this could be solved very, very quickly? If, and I know if can't happen, but if did, do you think that we could actually solve this?
Okay.
Sherry?
So, go ahead.
Sherry and then Jana, and then we'll keep going.
I'm sure you could run averages and, see what, the problem is it's not gonna, in my mind, in my imagination and my experience doing treasure hunting, it's not necessarily gonna be where everybody thinks it is.
Right. Well, and that's the big thing is no matter what I say, are you going to change from New Mexico? If I said I have this big aha up here, will you at least, I'm hoping everybody would consider it, but would it change anything?
Somebody
I don't know.
will. So
it wouldn't change where I'm looking. I've found some really compelling things in the area that you're looking at, Christy. Really.
You have to be open.
Yeah. And
I even think I'm solid and I'm still open.
Solutions that are not mine, that are, things that other people have shared in other areas. I've looked in your area and I find a lot of really compelling things, but the number of matches compared to the number of matches I have in my area, it's like this. So,
okay. What do you think, Renegade?
Well, I think it could, yeah. If everybody said their aha moment, I think somebody, at least one person, would be able to take at least one piece of information and say, that's it, that's what I need, I got it.
Okay.
But, man.
What do you think, Terry?
Yeah, no, I don't know that it would speed up the process because I'm actually in the camp that I believe that someone is very, very close. Like I believe that the people who are on YouTube, on Facebook, on the blogs, Reddit, whatever, that are actually discussing it represent a fraction of the people who are actually searching. And there are people who are not sharing anything and never have. And I believe that they would maybe take in that information and maybe it would help them a little bit. So, I mean, I think that, yeah, I guess I should say the treasure would be found more quickly than if we didn't do that. But I'm in the camp. I believe it'll be found pretty quickly. And when I say pretty quickly, I mean within the next several years. So,
but I have to say that the David Blaine hunt was solved within a community because I worked within a community. The bourbon, the breakfast and bourbon one was solved within a community of people that were working together.
That's what we got going on with Beacon Star too.
Yeah, and the secret, that's what's coming out too. Yeah, Dave, what do you think?
Oh, sorry.
I think someone is extremely close and probably trying to narrow in that last part of it. And if someone was to say what their solution is to everybody, then yeah, there'd probably be some ideas that finish it up. So yeah, I think that it would, most of the breakthrough would come from one person, and then the other people knowing to that point could possibly run some ideas that the person hasn't figured out yet. Because you can't have 100 things all be right. There has to be one person who's one solution, not just one person. It could be 10 people with the same solution.
Right. But it could be a little bit of a difference. Somebody within 200 feet. Jana, going back to you.
So the other part that kind of encompasses it all is that that person who does get it all put together, they got to get the time off. They got to get out there, and they got to get it. Whether if they, priority getting out there, having the money to do it. Because those trips that we took were not cheap, and we tried to go as cheap as we could without being out in a tent. The other thing is, I've learned this thing the hard way before ever getting into this chase. I have one friend who literally during hunts, we would have 12 clues. If somebody told him an answer to one clue, this actually happened. It was Cleveland. The clue had to do with a level, if you're on the level. His buddy said, hey, or his friend, not a friend at the time, but he said, hey, level is in the word Cleveland, and Cleveland Street's right here, and it comes right through here. And the guy left, and he took that one clue out of 12 clues and went right to that spot, dug it up, and won 10 grand. So, I mean, it's all a matter of, we can all put all our solves together, like you're talking about, and put it out there. And one person who's not even, like, we've got our names out there and everything, they're just a lurker. They're not, saying, hey, how's everybody going, and throwing in an idea. And, if they have the right money and the time to get out there and do boots on the ground with that one, Fenn says you need all 9. You have to go in order. I struggle with that only because we get one clue a day in hunts, and we might figure out the 5th clue goes to a certain park, and then you just go scour the area and you're going to find it. So I struggle with that a little bit.
My chat is shut down, but I will. My computer is still on. I just can't get to it. So last question that I saw from the chat. I'm going to give you 5 numbers. If you were to guess one, will the treasure chest be found in a year, 5, 10, 50, or more than 100? If you were to pick one, what does that look like to you, Dave? One. Within a year. Okay, and I'm going to end with Jens. So Jens, be ready for this question. So 1, 5, 10, 50, or more than 100. Which one? What do you think, Terry?
I think within 10. I would say 5, but the fact that it's been going on for this long is just, I think, more of a realistic picture. I think that it is kind of starting to snowball with the community collaborating. So I'd say within 10.
Okay, so kind of 5 to 10, but more near 10. Okay, Renegade?
I'd say 5 to 10. I think the next person who gets where warm waters hold, or probably somebody within the next 1 to 3 people who actually get the where warm waters hold correct, they have a really, really good shot, because we know that you have 2,000 square feet to search in that area. If they just take the time and they look for it, they'll be able to find it.
Okay, Jana?
I think it's going to be 2 years. Off the grid, a finger and a half.
Okay, 2 years. Sassy?
I'm with Jan on this, and I'll tell you why. I think on the 10th anniversary in October of next year, I think Fenn he's getting up in years, and I think he really does want to see this thing solved. And I'm betting that if nobody's found it by the 10th anniversary, he's going to release, much like David Blaine did, a supplementary clue. And let's see, David Blaine, it was 4 months after he released that clue that I found it. So I think
there's going to be a break it loose kind of thing from good experience.
There's going to be a break it loose, something that's going to shake it up on the anniversary. I bet he's going to release something that, okay, it's been 10 years, guys. I'm going to go ahead and give you one more hint that's big enough at that point for somebody to put together. And I'm from that point, I'm within 6 months, I think somebody will find it. I realize that weather plays into that, but.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. Michael?
I think 10. I like the idea that we're like at the halfway point, because more and more people are finding out about it. Just like when Jens releases his documentary, there's going to be a lot of people who are like, wow, what is this treasure hunt?
Huge Academy Award. Academy Award. When he gets the Academy Award, what do you think? Or Emmy, or I don't know what it is. Like, is that would like double the hunt?
Well, it's just getting the word out.
Friends, let me know so that we can vote for for his.
Oh, we would do parties and watch parties and all that. What do you think, Jens? If you were to say you're just seeing it from an outsider standpoint, 1, 5, 10, 50, or 100 plus, how many years until the Forrest Fenn treasure is found? If you were just, it's just a guess. It's just fun.
It's poor guess. I can say 1 year, I can say 5 years. It makes no difference. I agree to Sassy. I think Forrest has it in his hands. At this point, like Mike said, there's no confirmer. It doesn't matter how much the community cooperates with each other. As long as you have not one single confirmer, it doesn't help at all.
Ooh,
It's just my
such an
opinion.
interesting answer. Yeah, no, it's actually, that tells me how informed you are to say you took the little bit of gem from Sassy of it's up to Forrest, and Mike that it's or halfway point, and people are gaining, and all the bits and pieces of many different people. So I like that answer, but hey, I like you, Jens. So.
But there's one thing that I want just to say. We talked about confidence and having a plan when going out. There's a saying, if you never go, you will never know. I think, of course, you need some kind of confidence, but what you need in this search is, and I can expose it, that is luck. And I think the one who will find it, he does a lucky shot, because I think otherwise it's, under these circumstances, otherwise it's not possible. It's just my personal opinion.
That'd be Renegade.
I have a question for the documentarian.
Ask me, Jens.
Jens?
Jens, like Benz.
Yeah.
Fence Jens.
Jens. If it gets found before your documentary comes out, is that going to be better for your documentary or worse?
Say again. So if it gets found before the documentary is done, I would definitely postpone my documentary and try to get the guy for an interview or whatever I can get.
A new storyline.
When is your documentary coming out?
Like I mentioned,
I haven't been watching all the time. Sorry.
Yeah, my goal is 2020, and I can tell you if it's before the season or within or after the season. It depends really on the situation. Situation dictates. I have to get Forrest one more time on the camera, that's for sure, and then I have to see what I get else on the footage and how I can build a story. But I tell you something else. I asked myself, Jens, you want to present a documentary that gets attention, that is pretty good, but do you really want this treasure to be found? And I had with one of the interviews an interesting conversation about that. On one hand side, yes, everybody wants to know where it is and how the location looked like and how it got solved, okay? But on the other side, this whole thing here, like with the community, the marathon, the chase, every day making thoughts, from 1 second to the other, it's gone. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a tragedy of choice. Do you want to be found, or do you want this adventure to be ongoing?
Right.
And
so I can give
marketing of it being ongoing to attract more, it would be an attraction for people that are just hearing about it.
The tragedy of choice. Oh, I like that. Well, and I'm the first to say, and I've said this many times, Forrest has begun, even though we've had some random shipwrecks, we have not had designated treasure hunts that is getting this kind of publicity. He is the marketer with the treasure hunt. There's been Masquerade and a few others. He is the beginning of an entire market, and I think it's exciting.
I don't think he meant that, though. I think when he said that it'd be found, in 1,000 years, or he'd hoped it would go 1,000 years, I think that was in the very beginning when it didn't take off. And now it's like he's so into it and everything, and he's giving, what I feel is hints in practically every scrapbook. I think he really wants it found now.
And people have said before that, he was interested in all these other treasure hunts. And you know what? I beg to differ, because my search partner, Kelly, told him that she was partnered with the winner of the David Blaine treasure hunt, and he had no idea what that was. And she had to tell him all about it. So I don't think he was all that familiar with other treasure hunts. Yeah. I don't. I think maybe in passing people had told him about it, but I don't think he went out and researched them.
Yep.
So
Okay, so last parting thoughts we'll say from each person because we have passed the 3 a.m. mark here on the East Coast. So I will say we've been going 13 hours. So so let's give one last. And I'm sorry I can't see the chat room. My iPad is it's asking for mercy. So if you guys could each say one last thought, one last idea, I would like to invite each of you back. Mike and I are gearing up panels again. So if you want to come on and just discuss something, you'd be amazed how quickly 45 minutes goes. And then we always like to leave a few minutes for the social side because that's what I am. Like me or hate me, that's what I like about this community is a sense of friendship and a sense of events and fun things, and that's what I'm about, and I'm not going to apologize for it. So what is each of your takeaway or what you want to say as we move into the 9th off season? Because Forrest said do not go in search. Let's start with Sassy, and I'll go just around the room. Sassy.
Play Chase-opoly.
That's awesome. Okay, Jana.
Do that now.
Oh, skip me. Come back to me.
Okay, Renegade.
Well, I'm a fairly new searcher. I haven't been boots on the ground yet, but I do have military experience. I was in an infantry unit, so I do know what rough terrain looks like. If you do go boots on the ground next spring, next summer, just stay safe, go slow, be prepared. It wouldn't hurt to have a survival book in your pack as you're going. And by God, if you get the right wear warm water assault, just slow it down and you got this, all right? And Terry for boots on the ground or bust. Sorry, I don't have a solve yet. So.
And I want to thank you for your service. My boyfriend has service as well, and pretty amazing. So
yes, thank you. I have a Marine son, so.
So my honor. It's my honor. Believe me.
Bless him. And Terry.
Just thank you so much, K-Pro, to you and Mike. I mean, you kind of just really casually said it, but this has been going on for 13 hours, and this isn't the first time that y'all have done this. And y'all don't have to organize this. Y'all could just talk amongst yourselves, share your own ideas with a few close friends. But y'all have enabled the community to come out and really discuss all of our ideas. So I really, really do appreciate y'all taking the time to organize this. It's been so much fun. I look forward to more chats and live videos. And yeah, just a big thank you to y'all.
Okay, Dave.
Here's something to make everyone think, or maybe not. Okay, so a long time ago, a couple of years ago, he said, let's coin a new phrase. You don't have a correct solve unless you can knowingly go to within several feet of the treasure. Why do we care if we have a correct solve if what tells you that you have a correct solve is the treasure in your hand? Why do we need the term correct solve or whatever it was if it's the getting the treasure, which tells me that you have to know before you go. Otherwise, you wouldn't. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly. Why do we care if we have a correct solve?
If we've got the treasure.
If we have the treasure. Right. So he's saying that to have a correct solve is something other than having the treasure. It's something other than that, which means you have to have that first, which means you have to know what it is first.
Yeah, but if you find it, you don't care.
But he wouldn't have said it. But he wouldn't have said it otherwise.
Right.
That's actually something I was actually thinking about just today, and it had to do with exactly what you're talking about. He said something that had to do with when you find it, let me know so that I can do something. But we can, if we come back to another discussion, I've got it in my notes exactly what he's talking about. And it's really an interesting, people just read it, but they don't really understand what he just said.
All the time. Okay. He says things that if you don't read it exactly how he's trying to say it, which is different than how it sounds.
Mm-hmm. Well, except if it's confirmation bias, right?
Right.
And there's both elements, because a lot of times there's one way to read it, there's the Forrest way to read it. And then on top of those two, you have your confirmation confirmation bias that's going to choose.
Which is
Yeah.
why
For
he
you.
says it that way, because he knows what you're going to think it means.
Yes.
And then that's why he says it, so you don't get what he really means. But at the very end, after it's found, and we all say, "But you said this and you said this," he can always say, "I said these words, and if you look at these words and parse it this way, I didn't lie." So it's all
right.
Y'all
Right.
remember that song in Best Little Whorehouse in Texas?
Oh my God.
Dance a little sidestep.
I
Every
got-
time Forrest Fenn, it reminds me of that politician guy that's, he says one thing and he's meaning something completely different.
right, exactly.
Okay, yes.
I would just say thank you, K-Pro and Cowlazars, for making that marathon. I think it has a great value, even if you don't see the whole show, but it's very interesting to see, especially here the after show, so many people discussing with each other. I think even me as an observer, it's very interesting. And I would also like to thank the people who watch my teasers and give me feedback. Can be critical, can be positive, but I appreciate it a lot. Without you guys, I can't make it. And then I would like to give the call to action. Please send me your boots on the ground footage. Don't be embarrassed if it doesn't look good. I will take care for this, and actually is better. And then send me your question. What is the one question, or maybe the three questions, that you would maybe see for us to be asked? So these are the two things. That's my
Well,
question.
and I will say, Jens, the community, I have never heard the actually in unison say something that they agree on. Warm water's tall, how many clues, how 9 sentences, poem purist, etc. The only thing I've heard in unison is, wow, those trailers were awesome, and he's got something here, and this is going to be amazing. I have not heard one naysayer. So you have done something that the search community has never seen in the history of the universe. So thank you for what you're doing. I mean, the
Thank you.
quality has really shown, and I think it's awesome. So Jana, you're up next.
Okay. My last thing, we'll have you guys go read your book. In a video at one time, Forrest said that there's one thing that he wish he hadn't said. If you go to Too Far to Walk, there's a section in there called "I Wish I Hadn't." The exact words that he said, "I wish I had not said," or something. And if you go in there to Too Far to Walk, there's "I wish I hadn't."
Okay. Fabulous. There's a little
Put those
nugget.
two together.
Everybody, there's a rabbit hole we'll be working on tomorrow. Michael,
There you go.
Michael, you are up, my friend, and I will finish it up.
The book.
So I just want to say thank you to all of us that came on the marathon. Thank you to everybody that's still watching 11 hours later. Actually, we started at 11 a.m. We're in hour 13 right now. But more in a general sense, I want to say thank you, because next month, it was 2 years ago that I thought I'm going to print out the Too Far to Walk map because I happen to have access to a plotter. And then I thought I'm going to put it on the wall and I'm going to make a video with my phone and I'll put it on YouTube and see what happens. And 2 years later, here we are still talking about that treasure hunt. And there's Chase-opoly and there's a coin, and I met K-Pro through this whole thing. So just thank you to everybody in a general sense. Yeah, it means a lot, man. I'm having a lot of fun. So I hope we do it for another 10 years.
Hey, Cal, I've been with you since number 8, by the way. I've been following you since you're number 8.
Thank you.
And I'm embarrassed to say I've only watched maybe 10 of Mike's videos before we've done videos. So that's the piece that is new for me. And this is the thing that's pretty amazing. So I'm going to thank Forrest Fenn, but also this is the piece for me. There are layers to this experience. You guys all know, I was 100 pounds heavier. I couldn't walk a mile, let alone hike a mile, let alone now run 5 miles. So that's what started for me. But this last year or 6 months or so, Mike and I see the world so differently, and having a search partner that pushes my limit, and business partner with some of these things, and marathon partner that we kind of go different ways. It has shown me that you can pressure yourself not only physically, you can pressure yourself emotionally and mentally and all of those things. This hunt does that in so many different ways. So hopefully all in the positive. I know Mike and I have been in the challenging parts of, no, but you need to see it this way. And that's usually me saying that. And so I think, but tonight is showing we had a lot of difference about even today in the marathon, and oh but this and oh but that and oh but this, and at the end of the day, we all just come in, and as long as we throw our name in the hat and say, here, I want to share something, and keep in the positive, I will close it with positivity always triumphs over negativity, because Cowlazars has shown me that, and that's the only thing that I need to focus on and remember in life. And I'm teaching my kids that more, and I'm teaching myself that more, and I don't land myself naturally in that spot. So thank you to Mike, because this marathon is because of some difference of opinions and some conflict, functional, fun conflict. But this has been fun because we said we were going to go 12 hours. No, we're going 13 hours and 13 minutes. 13. Jenny says 13 is a lucky charm, so maybe that's a shout out to
Maybe
her.
we should just zip right now because it's
Yes.
13:13.
And then we are all done for tonight, and we thank you guys for being here.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
there's so many people I want to follow up with. We have so many shows to come, and thank you, but especially thank you to Michael.
Thanks, everybody. And thank you to K-Pro for hanging out with me at the internet issues.
Yeah. And I am the technical guru of the world. So, okay. Well, and we'll all be in touch, and we'll all do wonderful things, and keep being positive. We love you guys. Good night.
Thank you. Take care. Good night.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
I have no idea what to do now, Mike.
And OBS hit stop stream. Yeah, actually, I went to do it, and then I realized, oh yeah, I'm not running this thing.
We love you guys. Bye.
Bye.